Hello, everybody. I'm Aram17Z, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of the Kiln Podcast. Today, we will be looking at our own anime 3x3s that we have created. I will be joined by my 2 co-hosts, Gigawatt and the Calibri Body. So, hope you all enjoy. And, yeah, antics. I'm just gonna switch over, so say goodbye to the big Kiln logo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Faitan.
And say hello to the midget one.
It's purple.
It's disappeared. It's
He's
back.
gone. Oh, he's over there.
I found him.
He's over,
Oh, fam.
he's over there now.
Alex. 3x3s, yay!
Yay!
It's a
Okay.
ball, man.
No,
I don't trust
alright,
him.
who wants to explain what we're doing? Because this is going to be a recording and meant to be a podcast. Who wants to explain this?
Take it away, host.
There are
Me,
men.
I'm the host.
I'll explain it. So there's cubes. There's not cubes. That's the 3-dimensional. This is the square. This is the 2-dimensional one. And we put the pictures of men and women on the anime, and we talk about this is the ones we like.
And then we comment
Yeah.
on them as well, because we hate you, Alex.
Oh, you better.
So you have to explain to me why you've got a man with a pomp. So he's got to explain why he's got a man with a pompadour on there.
And why he's
you
wearing that
like
jacket.
a man with a pompadour, I don't understand. And then you got to explain why there's a bald man and a woman in the middle, and then there's a man with what looks to be 2 dildos attached to his belt. And then there's
Being
a
Attack
man
on
in the
Titan
water.
fan in
There's a
2021.
man, a woman with I don't know what the fuck that's some fucking marijuana. Then we've got kids. Then I don't even know how to describe that one. And then we've got a man who has a sister or cousin, I can't remember, in a wheelchair, and a green woman that is very high in Kakara value.
So, Caleb, you've only seen 3 of these, right?
I've
If that.
seen
Sorry.
the first one. I saw one episode of that one. I saw the first season of the Bald Man. I saw the first season of the Man with the dildos on his belt,
Okay.
and I've seen S1 and S2 of Woman with High Kakara.
Well, this isn't your list. This is Alex's list. So,
I know,
Alex,
but he's explaining.
where do you want to start from, Alex? Do you want to start from bottom, middle, top?
I don't know.
It's your
There's
list.
so much choice in all of these things.
Yeah, but it's your choice.
Alright,
You chose
let's
that. Why did you choose this anime? What purpose?
Let's start with Attack on Titan, the modern masterpiece. With
Okay.
the dildos on his hips.
I have my own argument of why Attack on Titan anime is terrible.
That depends, because a lot of people agree and some people disagree. So some people say season 1 was an improvement of the original manga, which was
Mm.
1 level art.
What do you mean?
Well, because they were redrawn, because they were fucking shit. It's better now, it's way better now. Season 4 manga is superior to the anime, and that's not just because the manga's amazing, it's also because the production value of season 4 was rushed to fuck. They still did a really good job, but, you know. But I still stand by that season 3 of Attack on Titan is the best piece of media, like stretch of 10 episodes, I've ever seen in my life.
But why?
The most thrilling bullshit I've seen. Why? Because it's everything. It's all it's everything the first 3 seasons were, and a culmination of just thrill and drama and mystery. And it was where we finally fucking saw you know the basement, Caleb? You remember the basement?
Monkey.
Yep. No.
No, the basement, like the big secret behind the basement and all that crap that was set up in the first season.
They let Eren live in the first season because he said his dad knew shit, and it was all stored in
Well-
the basement. And he remembers fucking nothing from his first anime.
I've got to tell you, I saw Attack on Titan years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Years ago.
Mm.
So I remember the big Santa Claus, and man that screams a lot, and woman and potato eating woman, and
She's great.
that blonde fuck that I don't give a fuck about.
There's so many blonde fucks.
Yeah, that doesn't narrow it down.
The tiny one.
Armin.
Almond, probably.
That's
But essentially, more supporting in the anime here, season 3, and everything that Wit Studio did.
I mean,
Essentially, season 3, part 2, it was the culmination of everything that came before it. Season 4 was like a different step, a step in a new direction. And that by itself was very interesting, and then I could argue that the Attack on Titan
Well,
manga
it
is
definitely
superior, especially after finishing it. 'cause
it definitely
freaking
is one of
wow.
those like anime that I do hear a lot in the anime community. It's like, oh, it's superior to the manga in a lot of ways, mostly due to like animation and the art style is so much better than the manga. But I still gotta say, like, it took me fucking forever to get into the anime properly.
He refused to watch it for quite some time.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember
this
telling him
time.
to watch it, and then he just
Nah.
didn't.
I couldn't, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want to. And then once I started picking up the manga, like I think in early 2019, or late 2019,
remember.
something like that. No, it would have been early. Yeah, like early 2019, late 2018 is when I picked up the manga. And then that's when I first started to really enjoy the series. I thought the pacing, I enjoyed it more in the manga, and just the art style just worked with it, and I could just flow with it a lot better. Of course, I didn't have the music, which is a bit of a shame, like all manga is, let's be honest. The music
Yeah,
and OSTs is the only shame to reading manga.
I'd say Attack on Titan, obviously its manga is amazing, and I won't pretend it's not.
Like on
But
my list, I literally
Sawano,
put one on there just for the OSTs. But,
Unfortunately, if we were judging OSTs, I would have put Sword Art and fucking Fairy Tail because they
Yeah.
are shit anime, but holy shit, their music is so good.
yeah, I understand.
Why is it that bad anime have good music?
9x9 of OSTs when.
And then you got Dragon Ball, which is a good anime, and it's got good OSTs, but that's another.
That's
That
true.
can be explained later, but
Yeah. It was also like I don't think the first opening for Attack on Titan really is just that iconic thing, isn't it?
And I'm telling you right now,
You hear it, you
I
just
would
go Attack on
not
Titan.
I would not have gotten into anime if it wasn't for that opening. Without it, because at that point I was the cunt who would be like, "Oh, fuck anime, we be shit," and then I'm like, oh, "Fuck it, I'll give one a go." Right? So I had a look, and then when that opening came on, I'm like, "This is pretty cool. I'll watch a bit more," because it was hype. It was like, it was hype. It was hype. Like all the stuff happens. I'm like, this, all this stuff happens. I'm like, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
And then the opening hits, and I'm like, okay, I'll give it more of a go. Next episode, opening comes back on, more hype, and it kept me going. So much so that I took a few months break in between season 1, simply because they changed the opening. I kid you not. When they changed the opening, I stopped watching because that was how much it influenced me watching that. Not that I think the second opening is bad. Like listening back to it, it's like, okay, this isn't bad, but I
But the opening one though.
I still listen to it. And I don't give a fuck about Attack on Titan anymore, but I still listen to it because it's a mad opening.
Yeah. I mean, when it came to Attack on Titan with me, like my rule was always like the first 5 episodes I watch. If I'm not interested, I'll look at it later or whatever. And it took me forever just to get into it. And it was probably by episode 7 when I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Just because that event happened in episode 7, which when I read the manga happens so much sooner. Like I think
What happens in
that's
episode
what
that's because
Studio does.
the things are reversed, like the
What
beginning stuff
Studio-
acts as a
What happens in
flashback.
episode 7? Because I can't
Caleb.
remember.
What
he
happens
becomes
with
a Titan.
Studio is that they get the manga and they take the prologue that happens and they put it at the start of the anime. So for
Right.
Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan,
Yeah.
they go from when they were the youngest all the way through. So in Attack on Titan, Eren becomes a Titan episode fucking 7, but it's way earlier in the manga. And then it cuts to his training days afterwards.
Yeah.
Same
I
thing
will
with
say
Vinland
something,
Saga.
however. His scream in the dub sounds so much cooler than his scream in the sub.
Oh, you want to talk about dubbed? Oh,
Dub
later
is
in the
dub-
seasons.
I don't care about anything. The dub scream I liked, so that was a cool scream. The one in the-
Unfortunately,
the one in the
I
sub-
can't say anything dubbed is better than Yuki Kaji, but Your opinion is yours.
True.
There are fantastic dubs, but Yuki Kaji is a phenomenal voice actor. Yeah, but it's voice acting and Sawano's OST and Wit Studios animation is why I've put Attack on Titan in the anime, not the manga. And I haven't also actually read the manga. I've only read what hasn't been adapted, the last 16 chapters.
But from what you've read of the manga, like even you could see, like you understood why I loved it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've got volume 1 of the manga. I haven't read it. I've read like a page, 3 pages because I've got a bookmark there. So I've obviously read some. But I haven't finished it.
How long have you had a bookmark? On that book?
I'm looking at it. There's a bookmark. So I'm like, I must have read it at some point. Probably up to when his mother got chomped on, and then that's it. So then that would probably
All right.
Oh yeah, I read that at my grandparents. That's right.
All right, Alex. Let's move on from Attack on Titan. Where are we going now?
You've read Martians and Like a Lion.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently on that too. Reading. That is.
Reading.
I'm not past season.
But this is about anime.
Yeah, I know, but
I am a manga supremacist, but this is about anime.
Because I'm currently reading it, I'm going to switch over to now talk about Martians and Like a Lion.
Alright, fine.
Which, by the way, Caleb is the first column, second row.
Yeah.
There's a cunt in a green sweater.
First, the one with the man, and then the 2 girls, and the body one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when Alex first started watching this, and to me, every time he said March comes in like a lion, I couldn't process it, because in my brain I was just thinking 3 Gatsuga and a lion. I could not process March comes in.
Anime. I downloaded a bunch because I had less internet, and I saw this one. I'm like, Ethan, is this good? And he was like, is what good? This one. What? Oh, that, right. Yeah, that's good. Because the main character is a depressed cunt.
Yeah. It kind of speaks into Alex's.
Oh, fair enough. I get it.
The entire series is about him and his process to becoming more whole, because he's just a kid who lives by himself, and then he gets found by this family after losing his own and leaving his adopted family. He finds these 3 girls. One's a child who I will do anything for, and they give him the warmth he needed that he hasn't had since he was a child when he was with his regular family, who died. And he's a shogi player, so he plays a bunch of fucking Japanese chess.
Yeah.
And that's all he delves his life into, because he feels that there's nothing else worth doing.
It is a very more slice of life with the hint of
very
psychological kind of essence to it. It also...
It's all about him.
I think one thing I find interesting about the series is that I feel like it's very overlooked a lot of the time in terms of anime community.
It's just a slice of life.
Yeah.
It just looks like just a regular slice. I wouldn't have touched it.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard of that name till like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect you.
Like, I see some of these, like, there's one specifically on here that is an anime that is a lot newer than any of the others.
Well, that one came out last year, that one came out that one came out Tuesday, that one's last year, that one's 2014, yeah.
Yeah. And it is kind of interesting, like, do you think, like, the newer times have kind of influenced your choices of animation or style? Because, obviously, as further we go in terms of timeline, our animation is only getting better and better, and you don't have a lot of older kind of anime on your list here.
The oldest one is Code Geass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't have any fucking old anime I want there.
No.
I've only watched like mostly new shit. I've watched Evangelion and Akira.
Well, if I didn't put something on my list, if I didn't put 2 things on my list, the story would be a tiny bit different. But that's not the point. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Question: who has the oldest anime out of all of us?
Wouldn't be me.
The oldest I've got is Dragon Ball.
If you have Dragon Ball, then it's probably Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Dragon Ball,
no,
the manga started in 84, I think.
Because I don't know if you have one that is older, but...
No, I think Dragon Ball would be the oldest.
But it was just...
No, I have a bunch of stuff from... Oh, wait. I might have one that's around the same time.
Right.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about Martians Line. It's animated by Shaft, who you do not know, Caleb, but... They did Bakemonogatari, and their level, and they did the
one
Piece Cup
of mine
Noodles.
was animated in '87. Yeah, so around the same time. But I think Dragon Ball still animated first.
Did we ever show Caleb the cup noodle ads?
The
The
what?
One Piece cup noodle ads?
I don't think we ever did.
Oh, damn. Basically, a bunch of cup noodle ads which had the.
I think you've shown me one.
We must have shown the first one.
Somehow I've seen him. Somehow I know what you're talking about.
Mm.
Animated with
think
the
I've
same
seen
people that
one.
made Martins of the Lion.
Either I
Those
saw it
ads
on,
are amazing.
either I saw it on YouTube somewhere, or you guys showed me somewhere, or something. But yeah, I've yes.
Alright, seeing as we kind of just cut through March Comes in a Lion, do you want to just finish the middle row?
All I want to say with Martins of the Lion is the way Shaft Studio visually made it. The chapters are short as fuck, and they only adapt 2 an episode. So they really, it stretches out, not like One Piece, but like it really sets the mood kind of thing. Like if
Right.
you watch, why did I have Cowboy Bebop on here? Anyway, like Cowboy Bebop. And I really appreciate just the atmosphere that it sets and everything the anime has done. I'm reading the manga, and I can still safely say I much prefer the anime.
Obviously, I know you picked up Orange very recently. How would you...
I haven't watched the anime.
You haven't watched the anime? Oh, okay, so you just picked up the
No.
manga. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought you watched the anime. I
Well,
thought...
because Nate and I wanted to read some romances, and that was really short, so we did that. It was
Okay.
amazing. I'll pick up the anime someday.
Do you want to finish off this middle row? That you...
Yes, Violet Evergarden. Oh.
Violet
Only-
Beauregard.
Only 3 things on this list have made me cry, and this one is all 3 of them.
Things-
Animated,
This one,
animated
another
by
one,
Kyoto.
it's a Kyoto anime, so
Yeah.
Caleb Kyoto animation, they do some of the most... Oh, fuck, I could just...
I think it's
all
like
3 of
on
these
like
studios
all
in the third list, on the second row, is just... Mwah. But,
She has a robot
Kyoto is-
arm.
yeah, she's got robot arms, but it's like the 1800s, so it's a bit weird. But basically, she's like a war veteran who's been trained to be nothing but a weapon, and the entire series is about her learning to become human and understand all the things that she's done.
I feel like this...
Understand the severity of everything as well, and actually understand that she is a person. And it's just a beautiful fucking story, and
As well
very
as
fucking emotional.
the scenery. The scenery in Violet
Oh,
Evergarden is pretty amazing.
Fuck, some of the prettiest fucking shots.
So
I've
is it
ever
like, is it
seen.
like steampunky?
She is, but
Oh, okay.
it doesn't really fuck. Yeah, I guess a bit of steampunk in there, but not.
A lot of these
I wouldn't
anime,
say
I
like
don't
that.
really see Caleb would watch it.
Well, Code Geass.
Yeah, well, Kogi is a different story. He's watched that one.
Yeah, I don't know. He did watch
I
that one.
intend to finish One Punch Man at some point. Well, not
Yeah,
finish
we'll read through that.
We'll read it now.
Same with
Space
this, like I said.
Dandy, probably not.
It's
But
up to you.
I think.
I will admit, Violet Evergarden does sound interesting. That I
Yeah.
at some point would maybe.
Well,
give it a go.
it's like
I was
always on
totally tempted to get
Netflix.
through,
So.
Attack on Titan, but the other one you were telling me about, the one with the kids.
Yeah, I do not expect you to
No,
ever
no.
shit about Martin like
That's the one that's definitely not Caleb style. But I could see Caleb really enjoying Violet Evergarden. It has one of the prettiest art styles. But that's it. Like honestly, the scenery is I think what sold it for me when I first watched it when it came out. I think on Netflix because that's when I first watched it when it first came out on Netflix.
How long is it?
So it's 13 episodes, and there's 2 movies, but one of them's non-canon.
Oh, 30
Yeah.
episodes. Mm.
A lot of anime are 30 episodes. That's all. Easy.
That'd be so easy to get through then.
Yeah, the longest anime on here is Attack on Titan with 4 seasons. Otherwise, everything else is 2 seasons, 1 season, or just a movie. The top right is just a movie.
Mm.
There's no way I wasn't talking about that.
So where we're moving to? Which row? The top row or bottom row? I feel like we're going to the bottom row.
No, let's go bottom. Well, let's talk about Code Geass now.
Oh yeah. C2. Do you have any points? My C2
I have no
statue.
points.
She's just looking.
Suku's hot.
Pizza girl.
Seems like we all like this anime for different reasons.
Fine. What's your reason then?
It's phenomenal. What the best ending I've seen in all of... Is it?
Rewatch it. Fuck.
Is it the best ending I've seen?
Oh no, the ending was really
to think
good.
of a better one.
Like without spoiling the ending, like the ending was just amazing, wasn't it? Just what happened to him and all
It's-
that crap.
I still haven't
Oh,
seen
no.
season 3 or whatever it is.
There's
So-
no,
The
no,
movies-
that's like
the
the
movies, no.
movies
Yeah.
with a different character.
So,
There
you're-
is-
so you're talking about
It's
season
more
2's
optimal.
ending.
Season 1 and
Season-
2,
yeah.
Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. You've seen all of Lelouch of the Rebellion. This is
Yeah.
what we're talking about, Lelouch of the
Yeah,
Rebellion.
I'm just making sure
Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
I
I
know,
haven't even
know
seen,
what ending you're talking
I'm
about.
the only one who has.
You know what ending. It's the ending.
Yeah.
And Code Geass.
Code
Best
Geass.
thing ever. Recently looking back on it, I realized that it's also like not like a masterpiece of an anime. It's a lot of episodes just absolute fucking train wreck. But it's still, I only remember the good parts. It's still just a phenomenal political mecha anime with that pristine cherry on top.
What was the reason you watched it, Alex?
People told me.
You really want?
Was
'Cause
people
I
that
heard
told you?
about
Or-
it before. I heard about it before, and then I heard Nate was watching it, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it too. And then I heard he dropped it. It's episode 7, and by then I'd already passed him. And so that was literally why. Nate was like, "Oh, I'm watching Code Geass. It's alright." I'm like, "Okay,
Well,
I'll watch
I do remember Caleb was the one who put me onto Code Geass. I remember
watched
that.
it because Winston told me.
Yeah.
So Winston and I were talking about Death Note, and he said, "Watch Code Geass. Lelouch is basically the Death Note." And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds cool."
Well,
Watch
not
him,
the
like,
Death Note, it's more
he's not
like-
really the Death Note, but it sounds fucking cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, when I first watched it, it was more about like, I think Caleb's influence kind of made me watch it. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, this was the first mecha anime I watched. And I'm pretty glad that it also was the first mecha anime I watched. Because it doesn't focus a lot on mechas like a lot of the other ones do.
The mechas is just it's just
And
the thing they use to accomplish their
Yeah.
goals, but it's not the point of the entire show. The point of the entire show is, as Alex mentioned, the politics and
yeah, the characters.
Lelouch being a fucking smart cunt. But the mechs are just things they use. It's just the power system they use to. It's just the guns. They're just like guns. They're just like weapons. That's what they are. They're not really that important. They're important, but
Of
it's
course,
not
it's
like.
important, but they're not. It's not. It's a mecha, but it's not mecha. It's
It's
Yeah.
also the only one on Alex's list that actually feels like it has a proper power thing. Has like a proper power thing, like a part of their world with the
Yeah,
Geass
One
and
Punch
that
Man,
crap.
sort of.
One
One
Punch
Punch
Man
Man-
is a bit of a weird
One
one.
Punch Man
Attack on
does have a
Titan
power
is just
system.
Titans, but it's very
One Punch Man
different.
does have a power system. The problem is we just focus on the anomaly.
Yeah. But
There is genuinely a very good power system in that series, but with our main character, it's the anomaly. We're not gonna see.
one thing that I do think was always weird about the anime for Code Geass was how fucking lanky everyone was.
I know.
But that's just the art style, isn't it?
That's the art style, I know, but it's the one thing where it's like their legs are longer than their entire body.
They're stick insects. That's the way you draw humans. That's the humans are not. You touch them and then they break.
It is definitely one of those anime that I feel like a lot of people would have on like their first to watch lists.
Good.
Yeah.
It took me like 15 episodes to really actually get into Code Geass in the first place. Because it was, you remember Mal?
Yeah.
The other guy with the Geass?
Yes.
It was after the end of his storyline. And then after Lelouch making Shirley forget about everything with his Geass. That was when it really clicked for me, like, oh, this series fucking means business. And then, of course, it really hammered that in episode 21. But, yeah.
I see.
I think what really got me was when. Oh, I don't want to spoil too much. But you know when Lelouch is with Nana Lee, and he accidentally uses his Geass.
Yeah.
Near the end of the
When that
second
happened, I'm like,
season?
oh, okay. This anime. This knows this. Yeah. Okay.
Knows what it's doing.
I was really.
And that's why I put it on this list. It's not particularly my favorite anime. All these other anime are among my favorites. This one's not my favorite. It's just like the masterpiece of an anime. It is a sentence anime that needs to be talked about. That's why it's put on my list. And here we are talking about it for good reason. Even now, after how many years has it been out?
Oh, I don't know.
Code. Spelled it wrong. Geass. 2006. So that's 15 years. It's old as well on this list. Is it? Yeah, it is. Everything else is in 2010s. Or 20s, even.
Yeah.
That's it for Gearhouse?
Yeah.
Now, I want to say that most of these anime on this list are anime originals. They're not. If they had the manga, I'd probably put them on there. The only ones with a manga, an original manga, I should say. They all have mangas. One Punch Man, Martian vs. Lion, Attack on Titan. Yeah, so it's three. And then Violet Evergarden had light novels. So everything else is an anime original. I want to talk about It Invaded, which was in production for like 6 years.
Yeah, and when was it released, Alex?
That was last year in January.
Yeah.
It's by far the newest anime on this list, unless you count the Violet Evergarden movie, which also came out.
I'm not counting that. I'm
Good.
I'm counting when it started. So yeah.
Invaded is like an anime made by like 6 people over several years until they came up with this product. And after I learned that, I really started to appreciate it more.
It's an isekai.
I guess it's an isekai. It's like Sword Art Online in a way.
Which one's this one?
The
bottom middle,
bottom
sorry.
one.
Sorry,
Bottom middle.
Bottom middle?
Yeah, bottom middle.
It Invaded. There's a detective. The concept is they go to crime scenes. They get these robot bullshits, and then they like detect for like killing intent. And then they get that, and then they put it into a machine, and then they make the brainwaves. They make a brain out of it, or like a person's subconscious out of their killing intent, and they get their detective to go in and find out clues about the murder. Basically, looking into their subconscious to find any piece of evidence they can to prevent these serial killers from murder, doing more, and finding out the culprit is. And every other episode, like there's 2 episode arcs usually.
I don't know
goes
why.
into a different subconscious and goes into a different mind, and we have to figure out what exactly makes tick. Why exactly does this brain work the way it does? What does it say about the person? And this detective is brilliant. He'll figure it out by the end of it. Why is there a tower that lasts forever with a waterfall around it? Why do people get sniped? Why does he keep dying? What is happening?
I think I found it more interesting once you started delving into the outside world of what was happening. Like with the other characters.
World building. All the other characters really fleshed out more interesting. We find out the detective is also one of these murderers, which is why he can go into the machine in the first place.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite characters ever. I've got a limited edition DVD. It cost me $100, but I've got it.
Yeah, he does.
And there was I've got the art book, and inside there was a story which really it was a deleted episode, and I wish they hadn't deleted it because it's one of the best descriptions of that character and made me appreciate the character more. But it's not canon. It was a scratch episode.
For me, I think when I watched it, it didn't impact me as much as I have seen like with you or with some of your friends, Alex. It was just one of those things I just sort of watched back when I still was watching partially weekly stuff. But I don't know. I don't think it hit me as much because like I'm already so used to being brought up by detective and cop shows. So
yeah, I actually very little of cop shows.
Yeah, so I grew up watching cop shows. So my opinion about like detectives is very skewed for an American kind of mind, which I do appreciate because there are a lot of great cop shows in America, but the Japanese style and stuff can seem a lot gimmicky. And one thing I did appreciate about this series is that it didn't have that kind of feeling to it. It was one of the best of like the season, but I think it just got overshadowed by whatever else came out in the season from my memory.
Yeah, because most of a lot of other animes took the spotlight.
Also, like I appreciate the animation style and the choices they made when they were actually in the thingy, the world.
Oh, what's the machine called?
Yeah, I forget what the machine's called.
It's called the nerve gear.
Yeah, it's kind of like a nerve gear, I guess. But they also like they're all kind of like dispatched. All their parts are kind of off. They're not a full person. They're kind of missing bits, and I think it was used very well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember watching the first 2 episodes. First 2 episodes were amazing. Episode 3 of Invaded, because episode 1 and 2 set up the premise, even introduced us to the main villain, and then episode 4 onwards kept going with that villain. But episode 3 was very standalone. It didn't have the same string of serial killers. It was a different one with different motives, that we just went through, just a single story, and it's one of my favorite episodes in all of anime because it's just fucking spectacular.
It definitely was one of those anime that I think was really good at like kind of building upon itself. Especially how ironic that
At the
sounds.
end of every episode, everything came together in the end, and because the detective's Sakaido is his name, intuition, and it's just mwah. Love it so much. I do want to say though, everything about the main villain when it actually started becoming the more streamlined.
I honestly forget who the main villain is.
The main villain was John Walker.
Oh yeah.
Who'd appear occasionally in some of these nervies. And till the end, it was just boring. I did not enjoy it with John Walker in it, which is why I love episode 3 as much as it did, because it had nothing to do with him. The main story, I think, dragged it down. When I rewatched the series, I started feeling that a lot more. But I still think all of its positives heavily outweigh the negatives. How are you doing, Caleb?
Hello. I've just been listening. There's nothing I can really add.
Does it sound interesting? Like, would you want to watch that kind of thing? It is like,
Probably
what was it, 13 episodes as well?
At some
13 episodes.
at some point, yeah, I think I'd.
It's on Anime Lab, so.
Yeah. So I have my issues with it, but it's also still something that
for a 13 episode series, like you could do so much worse.
It hooked me in immediately.
And not me.
Yeah, well, it fit my taste spectacular. I went to you after like 5 episodes. And I'm like, I need more of this. The next episode doesn't come out for 6 days. Give me something. And you told me to watch Psycho Pass. It was really good, but didn't do it enough.
I mean, Psycho well,
Psycho Pass is amazing.
Psycho Pass is also amazing,
And it's
and
closest thing to Invaded.
it is also an anime original as well. Psycho Pass. Yeah. So it also fit that as well. The Tatami Galaxy. The Tatami Galaxy.
The Tatami Galaxy.
Which one's this one?
Bottom left. We're doing the bottom ones.
It's an anthology series that eventually becomes. It all ties up in the end anyway. Basically, there's this kid whose name. Oh, he doesn't have a name. His name's just Watashi. So Watashi is a student who's going to college, and he's got this crush, and he wants to live a rose-colored campus life. And every single episode focuses on a different club he joins. So it all starts from the same point, and it's like different timelines of different kinds of rose-colored campus lifestyles. Fucking words. How's swearing on this stream?
I'm fine with it. Why?
It's
I've
too
already,
late now.
I've already said fucking like 10 times.
Too late now.
Yeah, I didn't
We're
notice.
Australian, we're allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
So each of these episodes tackles a different aspect of this rose-colored campus life, and it shows that no matter what you do, it's not this ideal lifestyle doesn't exist. Even if you join the bike club or the plane club or the gym club or the fireworks, I don't remember all the clubs.
The first rule of the fireworks club: you don't talk about the fireworks club.
And the art style, as you can see, just based on the image,
is very unique.
I love the art style of Science Saru and Masaki Yuasa.
It is 100% the most unique animation style on your list.
I've honestly just noticed that my favorite director is Shinichiro Watanabe, who did Space Dandy and Bebop. And I've got Masaki Yuasa.
He did work on the Tatami Galaxy as well. I think he did some storyboarding or whatever it was.
Storyboarding and soundtrack.
But it has that influence of his kind of works.
Yeah, that's why I love both these directors so much. This and Top Right were both directed by Masaki Yuasa. I just realized this now.
Well, it's probably the one I have least memory of in terms of your list, because it's the only one I haven't really rewatched in such a long time.
It's on my shelf. I should probably put it on.
That actually interests me. Oddly enough.
It does. If it's interesting, I won't continue talking more, but it does actually all matter in the end. It's not just an anthology. It is about this character, Watashi, trying to live this life, this rose-colored campus life, and then it does culminate at the end.
It also has 11 episodes, doesn't it?
Oh, is 11?
I feel like is it 11 or is it more?
It's short. I know it's very short, but is it 11?
I think it's 11.
Yeah, fuck, you're right. 11 episodes.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 12 or 13.
So it's the shortest one on your list Kind of.
Well, there's
Not
a
including the movie. Not including the movie.
Yeah, it's the shortest one without a movie.
Yeah. But you have a lot of things on your list that are just 13 episodes as well. So.
Yeah,
Speaking of the movie, Ride Your Wave.
Let's go straight to another Masaki one.
So the one that
Ride
you
Your
don't,
Wave.
the last one you don't recognize, Caleb, the one in the water,
Yeah. So you see the top right one?
the one next to the kiln.
The one with the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a surfing anime, which it's already weird that I like this. Oh, how do I explain its appeal? I don't know. I just have. It's just such a for the first 30 minutes at least. It's just a vibe, and I can just get along with it. It's just fun. I just have so much fun just watching this couple just getting close to each other and surfing and enjoying life. And then of course one of them dies, and then
I killed them.
we have to. Okay. So that's after the 30-minute mark, and then he comes back in a soul as like in water, and now it's a story about the not widow, the girl trying to come to terms with death. And how do I explain the appeal of this film? I don't know how to.
There are a lot of anime movies that are very similar in terms of just the feel-good style, but nothing that I think that strikes you harder than when it comes to just that change of themes and drama that happens as Ride Your Wave. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. Like it's a good movie. It's a good film.
Yeah,
I would recommend it, but like I wouldn't.
Not
pack
something
me
I'd
this much.
recommend to Caleb unless he for some reason has interests in a surfing romance anime.
Yeah.
Nah.
Right. So
Yeah. I'll
Look, I was surprised I was interested. I watched this on a whim because Anime Lab said, "Watch this movie right now. It's only on Anime Lab for a week," and I'm like, "Okay." I did. I'm like, "Fuck, that was good."
And you
And then I
enjoyed
recommended
it.
it to friends, and then I rewatched it, and now it's my favorite anime movie, which used to be Wolf Children, and now it's not.
Wolf Children's still great though.
Well, Wolf Children still spectacular. But Ride Your Wave, I don't know how to explain the appeal. I just love it. It's just so makes me happy, makes me smile, makes me cry, makes me sad, makes me feel things. In an
Alex
hour and
likes
a
to
half.
feel things. That's what we've taken away from this list.
Oh yeah, that's what Muscular Gland, Ballad of a Gun, Ride Your Wave all make me feel things.
So Alex,
Those three are the ones that make me cry.
Well, as long as they aren't kids.
nah.
Ballad of a Gun's 14 years old.
We have to have a talk now.
The main character, Martin Zuckerline, is 17. Anyway.
One Punch
I mean,
Man?
it's better, but that's still not good. Better, but no, it's not good. I guess it depends where you are.
No, I
It does.
I don't intend to touch these people. These fictional characters, unlike you and your 3 body pillars.
Nah.
But then you have Saitama just staring at me this whole time. He's just
Yeah,
been looking at
Saitama.
me.
Let's go One Punch Man. This is
An anime we can all talk about.
Well, I'm specifically referring to season 1 of the anime because
That's what I've seen.
Well, that clip,
Season
that
two
scene
is-
is from season 1.
season 2 is absolutely not something I wish to talk about when it comes to One Punch Man anime.
Mm.
So let's go with the season 1.
A great
One,
anime,
One
a
Punch
great
Man's
first season.
The first anime I've ever seen. I remember I was talking to Caleb and Vigesh about like who's stronger, like Hulk or Saitama, and I constantly said like the Hulk in like World War Hulk took a step in the like East Coast, and then he almost sunk the entirety of America. This cunt is stronger than your fucking skinny ass fuck. And then like a month later, I finally decided to watch One Punch Man. The first series I ever binged, watched it all in a night. Came there next day. I'm like, I was wrong. I was fucking wrong.
I remember that discussion because then I think Dean. It might have been a different one we thought, but it's the same deal. And Dean was there, and he turns over.
Oh,
to
I was
Winston
in that
and says,
discussion with Dean.
You don't know anything about anime. And Winston's face was switched from mostly calm to fucking I'm going to literally kill you and snap your neck. It was the funniest. Like he messed up. Dean messed up that day. He shouldn't have said that, but yeah.
Yeah. So One Punch Man season 1. I love that it was the first anime, even though it was a parody of anime in some ways.
That's a
So glad
weird
it was my
anime to
first.
start on.
I don't remember exactly why. I know.
I mean, I watched it as well in the night.
Well, that's because you're you.
Yeah,
I did it
yeah,
as
but that was very early for me to watch in the
I
night.
also watched it in the night.
So it's easy.
Yeah, it's very easy to watch in the night. It's very enjoyable as well. Genos, great character. Watchdog Man is the best boy.
It shows up for a scene in season 1.
It's so strange. I feel just like to say that Watchdog Man is my favorite character because he's done absolutely nothing.
Done fuck all.
He's
in that manga as well.
He beat the shit out of Garo. That's all I need.
Get back to the anime. I know. Moomin Rider, his entire story, his like 3 episodes, everything with the Sea King, is by far like my favorite arc in One Punch Man.
You have him as your second favorite character, so
he's my second favorite character, and he's very, very close to Usopp.
Mm.
He achieved what took Usopp 300 episodes in 3.
Mm.
Right up there, easily one of my favorite characters. I love.
You didn't like
But
Usopp to begin with?
No, I liked Usopp to begin with because he had the curly hair. He was an idiot, long nose, and Ethan was like, "Look, it's you." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So I liked him, but he didn't become my favorite character until that arc with him.
Yeah, which was something I was waiting for.
Water 7?
Like
Water 7.
I had even said that to Alex previously. Like you were going
he told
to
me you're gonna get some,
absolutely love this
Usopp.
character.
You get some Usopp development. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And by then I was like, "Yeah, I like Usopp."
Even I agree. I like to do something more after that, but that's One Piece, not
Yeah.
One Punch Man.
But they also started from
Yeah.
different points as
So
well.
even though now we're in One Piece, One Piece, fuck.
No, I'm just saying. They
It
started.
took that entire arc.
Yeah.
Right, for me to say Usopp is my favorite character ever, and it took Moomin Rider getting decked in the face by a massive fucking fish for an episode for me to go like, yeah, he's my favorite character, and then Usopp came on. So it's not to be understood how much I love Moomin Rider, how much I love that arc, how much I love this series. One Punch Man is one of the few anime I'd call a perfect adaptation.
Mm. Well, just the first
season
season. Just the first season.
Yeah, because obviously the manga is drawn by Murata, and that's absolutely phenomenal. But the anime can't replicate that because
No.
it's an anime. Instead, it makes up for that with its beautiful visuals and animation,
Motion.
voice acting, OST, everything. It makes up for everything. It can't do
There are
from
definitely
the
like
manga.
some unforgettable scenes, especially in season 1. Like I still can't. I still like image to image remember the scene of Saitama punching the heavens itself in a fight against Genos. I think it was.
Oh,
After the whole,
beach canyon.
After all the shit they went through.
God.
Yeah. Oh fuck! Yeah, I've rewatched the anime and reread that part of the manga multiple times. I'd say One Punch Man is perfect because
It's also just that anime.
It's not better, but it's not worse than the manga. It is the literal perfect adaptation.
It's also the anime that I feel like anyone can enjoy, even if you're not really too big of an anime
Yeah,
fan.
anyone
Anyone
can
can enjoy it. It is a bit more. It doesn't take itself
even
that seriously.
Dean has watched One Punch Man.
Yeah.
He enjoyed it enough. He doesn't like anime, but he enjoyed it. He can recognize that it was good.
Mm.
He's an idiot, but whatever.
I think
He at least
if we are going to talk about season 2, I feel like the worst thing that came out of season 2 was the thing like everyone has hopes for was probably Fubuki. I feel like they didn't do justice to that stuff that happens.
I didn't do justice to shit in that. There was like one
The
good
story-
animated fight with Garo and Tank Top.
But for a season 2, because it's like, alright, I understand like the first season because it covers that entire part of the story. It makes sense. But we're like in the manga, and we're like still on the Garo stuff a bit.
Yeah, the
still.
arc that starts at the start of season 2 is still going on in the manga.
Yeah.
In the second season. They ended it. Mild spoilers. They ended it the same way they ended season 1 with a serious punch.
Mm.
And I think that was alright.
Yeah.
Because you had the serious punch against Boros, serious punch against this other character.
Yeah.
For different reasons. And I love that scene, but let's not talk about
Even
the
just the
inferior
comedy.
anime. Yeah, the voice acting and the actual scenes.
Dubbed and subbed.
They were good.
Either way, good.
Yeah, so I was wrong about the One Punch Man dub. I'm sorry, but it's
Yeah.
good.
Wasn't your argument with something like bugs suck?
Yeah, I did it because the
Mosquitoes suck or
subtitle made a joke and the dub didn't, and I was for some reason furious about that.
You
Yeah.
were very angry about that.
I remember
and
that.
that's the stupidest fucking thing.
Like you
Oh,
were going on
oh
about the
well.
syllables and shit. I don't fucking
Oh,
know.
oh well, I've removed that video. That's not. Anyway.
It's probably the one that I find is the hardest to criticize on your entire list. I can criticize a lot of these other ones a little bit, but I can't really criticize season 1 of
You
One
can't
Punch Man.
criticize something that doesn't take itself seriously. It's
Yeah.
simple as
I mean, how could I criticize something where one of the first people to actually speak in the entire anime is Sabbath?
that.
He is.
Who's he?
He was the clone of Piccolo.
Oh right, yeah, the
Yeah.
vaccine man. Of
In the
course,
dub.
yeah, they
He's
got
vaccine man.
fucking a character that looked just like Piccolo, and they're like, we know exactly who we're getting to voice this guy.
Shows up for less than 5 seconds.
Seconds, he's gone immediately.
Also, the King stuff in season 2 was also a shame as well. But that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it's
sad.
like the first 2 minutes of One Punch Man season 1.
No,
And then
I remember his existence, but because I watched One Punch Man before Dragon Ball, I never made that. I'm never connected the dots ever.
Yeah.
So
People had to connect the dots for me.
So yeah.
I think I'm the one who told you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't do that often, I feel like, in One Punch Man. There are definitely other things like Gintama that really pushes things sometimes in terms of references. But One Punch Man just do it.
It's Gintoge.
If One Punch Man does it, it's very different. Like, you have someone like King, who's a character, and he's more of a Caleb kind of person.
That's why he's gonna voice him.
Yeah, gay. He's a gamer. He's a gamer who likes anime titties. Alex, we have one more on your list, Alex.
Yeah. Space Dandy.
I finished watching it last night as well.
Epic. So
Of our rewatch thing that we're doing. Yeah, I finished watching it
You're
last
way
night.
ahead of me and still somehow behind.
Yeah.
Because I'd expect you to be done. Anyway, Space Dandy is an anime which very, very easily fit my tastes. Aside from the main character being an idiot with a pompadour, which already sold me, I knew just from the poster this is going to be one of my favorites.
But you didn't
The
know
story
how
is
much.
I didn't think anything would overtake One Punch Man, and then One Piece did, and I didn't think anyone would overtake One Punch Man again. Like that's like the solidified number 2, and then Space Dandy comes along. 24 episodes of absolute fucking bullshit.
Only anime as well.
It's anime only, made by my favorite director, who did Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, he I love Shinichiro Watanabe's sense of atmosphere in his products. I'm just going through Cowboy Bebop now again, and I just love the way he sets up his story and the way he uses the soundtracks as well, just to create the worlds that he's got. The world because it's space.
His goal
And
to
every
visit
single
all the
different
boobies.
theme and idea that shows up in Space Dandy, which they don't take seriously anyway, because it's Space Dandy. It's a comedy anthology where they die multiple times at the end of episodes because there is no canon, it doesn't exist.
Your list is just so interesting because you have like 2 that have like a subtext of political drama. You have a lot of these that are more emotionally and thought processing, and then you have your top 2, which is just more comedy, satirical a bit.
Well,
Just
it's
it's
manga,
fun.
we get to talk about
It's just
Grand
fun. Yeah,
Even Road to Wave is fun for a bit.
yeah, but not as fun as I think something like Space Dandy with QT, Meow, and just Dandy himself.
Who's looking at porn on my phone?
Look at porn.
It's also genuinely a visual masterpiece. Bones did a
Oh
spectacular
yeah,
job.
true.
The animation Space Dandy is.
When did the anime come out?
2014.
2014. That's what I was gonna guess. Yeah, for 2014. Yeah, one of the best animes of the year.
Even if I weren't a absolute diehard fan of the series, it's still one of the best looking and crafted series I've ever seen.
And
Just
the
'cause
premise
structure.
really is like you can just pick that shit up from any episode, really.
Yeah, you can watch episodes fucking 8 and be like, oh, what's he doing? He's having a dance off with what's his name? Ton Travolta?
Yeah.
What?
Fair
He goes
enough.
on a date, but he's getting spied on. It is like episode 13, I think. No, it was later, like episode 19. He goes on a date with his character because the character needs like a scapegoat for a date, and he's like, okay, fine.
I
And
even
he
wrote.
fucks around the entire day. But the entire series, but everything in every background shot, you can see a giant fucking Gundam spying on them.
What?
Because that's the person she's trying to hide from, the Gundam, the guy who's supposed to be a galactic hero, but he's just seething with jealousy.
One of the episodes the few bits that I remember from the early bits is just the genres as well, how it kind of changes stuff between genre, and it does it perfectly well. I remember there was a horror type episode where it's like, oh, they're protecting this woman, and Meow's really connecting with this woman, but then they turn into a giant monster. And Dandy, he flies away. It's like cute. He's like, oh, we're gonna leave him there. I'm sorry, my friend. We're gonna have to leave you. And then he realizes he has his boobies card or whatever it was, and he has to go back for the boobies card, not Meow, the boobies card, because he has the card.
You get a discount.
He has a discount card for boobies.
For someone like me who genuinely hates fan service, the fact that this anime managed to pull off an entire restaurant called Boobies, which is just Hooters in space,
Yeah.
and make me absolutely love it, is just mind-boggling to me.
Even his job,
It's a restaurant.
his job is kind of unclear at the beginning, especially in the first episode, because it's kind of just like, what the hell's happening? Until like it's explained by the introduction of Meow. It's like to find new species and stuff, which kind of adds to it. And there's also like the background war that's happening as well.
That whole premise means you can go to a different place with different species, with different environments, different psychedelic bullshits, and
there's a lot of freedom to the series.
Yeah.
And it's very enjoyable.
It can kill off its main character,
which it did multiple times.
several times.
And
there were even some serious episodes. The one with Dandy's former love interest.
Yeah.
Who was like a fifth dimensional being. Whatever.
Um,
Because I think Kev will enjoy this concept. The way space travel, like warp travel works is like it disassembles your body and then reassembles it somewhere else.
Right.
So you're pretty much a completely different being to these like fifth dimensional beings. You're something completely different. So when Dandy literally went through one of these portals, the fifth dimensional being who loved him couldn't love him anymore because the Dandy she knew was dead. Because that's just how they perceive their reality. And Dandy, who's only a third dimensional being, can understand that on paper, but he still loves this being and can't not, because to him he's the same, and to him she's the same, but to her he's different. And I really love that concept because he does do things. He does take something seriously occasionally.
oh no, best Dandy was depressed Dandy.
Oh, that depressed Dandy.
Depressed Dandy was great. Yeah, there was an episode just about exploring Dandy's multiverse, I guess,
Oh no.
of the multiple Dandys. It's very enjoyable. It's a chill watch. It's very chill to watch as well.
Let's put it in the background as well.
Yeah.
And it fits everything that I love about the anime. And that's it. That's my 9x9. And we spent 58 minutes here. Hello. Hello.
Those are things I like.
It's probably the easiest one to talk about because we've all seen all these anime, except I haven't seen one.
Yeah.
Which I've been meaning to get to for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll love it.
Who would I start? I'm thinking of just going from not worst to best, but ones that I feel like I can talk about least, those I can talk about more. In which case, the ones I talk about least is my man, my boy. He's a good boy. He's a funny man, and he has a gun that he barely uses to kill people, and that he's Trigun with Vash.
The only one he hasn't seen. You're picking the only one he
no.
has.
Yeah, I know there's a gun.
To describe it to Alex and any other people.
I think he's seen the first couple episodes.
I've seen the first episode when you showed it to me.
Years
ago.
Yeah, years ago. That was back when we were making our child. No context for that. Just move on.
Oh yeah.
Which I remember almost nothing about because it's been years and I haven't finished it. So.
But yeah, it's just a Western, just Western. It's got serious tones to it, but it does have obviously comedic and light-hearted things, as anime generally has.
A lot of people, like, I feel like the style and aesthetic do compare it to Cowboy Bebop a lot.
Potentially, I can't make the comment because I haven't seen Bebop, but yeah, I when thinking of anime to put on this, I thought Trigun I haven't seen in a while, and I wouldn't consider Trigun to be my favorite anime of all time necessarily.
No, this is good anime.
But out of the ones I've seen, I'm thinking, yeah, it's good. I like it. I think it's a spectacular show that that is quite enjoyable. I don't think there's much else to say other than I think
his donuts are iconic.
And I like how I sort of like what they did with him, his backstory and shit, which I'm not gonna say for Alex, but I found that all very interesting how it was Western, but then it also went into a bit.
The man in the red jacket.
Yeah.
I also love how, like, we're hearing all this stuff about who Vash is, when we're also following this Vash who doesn't know who the fuck he is at the same time.
Exactly. And even if he does know, he doesn't want to go into that necessarily.
And although he is the main character, he never really actually felt like a main character. Just because we had, like, the two girls who felt more like the main... They were the main focus. We were seeing the story through their eyes.
The story is about...
And Vash was just kind of there.
But it's not really... He's not really...
Vash just shows up everywhere.
He's not the perspective we're looking from. We're looking at from Meryl and the other one. I forgot.
And as the story progresses, it gets very interesting. And then you have Nicholas. Which Alex has suspected will be his favourite character.
Yeah.
Even though he's still never seen
one image you drew, and I'm like, oh, that's I like it.
That's true. Just an image he drew. I drew. But yeah, I think his donuts are iconic. I think the events that happen later on, very good. Character-wise, there's a lot of great moments. It's very tiny bit episodic and kind of like that Cowboy Bebop aspect where it's like a different kind of case each episode.
Yeah.
They're doing different stuff.
But it still sort of leads up to stuff.
Yeah, it does.
It still leads into something.
Same with Cowboy Bebop as well. But like, it plays off well. It's very Western aesthetic in like a weird... I don't know like what you would call the kind of area. I don't know. I almost forget that it is a Western half the time, honestly.
Yeah.
But it does have the aesthetic, and you can really get that from the scenery. This is one of the more older anime coming in at the late 90s, early noughties.
But I also like how Vash, in the same sort of way, Saitama is lovable in the sense that they have a small serious side, but then most of the time they're just idiots.
Yep.
They're just idiots, and it's something that I think a lot of people tend to like the idiots that are idiots a lot of the time, but then sometimes when they get serious, it's one of those big those sayings I hear thrown around, those quotes thrown around all the time, and that is when people say, "Fear the anger of a gentle man," and it's sort of like that idea where it's like the ones who act like idiots or act stupid or don't really go towards fighting or doing any of that stuff, when they do fight, when they do become serious, it's like, oh shit, they're serious. I think that can create more, that can really hype up fights and moments, and
it doesn't even really need to just be like characters who don't really fight, because you get that feeling with
Yeah, that's
Goku
true.
as well.
That's true. That's true. That's
Mm.
true.
And Luffy.
And when Goku gets like angry, it's like,
you
he's
know,
about to go Super Saiyan 10,000 again.
Yeah.
He's
Well-
about to get. He's about to get a new transformation.
I think that covers the one anime Alex has not seen on your
Yeah.
list.
The other thing is, I haven't seen later seasons of.
Yeah, I know.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, I haven't seen
Nor have
Boruto.
I. Nor have I.
Yep.
So,
He said
no,
Boruto.
I'll do what you guys did, and I'll do the bottom one.
Alex did the middle.
So I guess we'll move on to Assassination.
Yes, my criticisms now. Yes.
Assassination Classroom.
One of the first anime you watched.
Yeah.
One of the very first ones.
Not too early on, but yes, but yeah. I quite enjoy it. I just enjoy the story and what the things it does, how it plays with. I like what they do with Koro Sensei. I think the way they handled the sort of mystery in the beginning and then the way they explained it later. Because often when you have characters like Koro Sensei where there's a lot of mystery, by explaining it, I think it can sometimes ruin the character. But I think in Koro Sensei's case, it doesn't. In fact, I think it actually makes the character a bit better because when you get towards the end, you sort of have what you thought about the character, you have what you assumed about the character, then you learn about the character, and with now what you've learned, changes your perspective in such a way where the ending, I think, becomes a bit better. I also like, obviously, how the characters Karma, fucking legend.
Also, I don't think the backstory would have worked with Koro Sensei if it wasn't for the twist that occurred. Because it was all kind of just triggered by what happened in season 2, and with that one character, and it kind of explains shit, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, without that character, wouldn't feel a need to have explained anything.
Yeah.
Which one was nice, well, but because it did.
But because it built up
I think
like
it's not
that,
nice, isn't
of
it?
like a useless character who kind of just did nothing and was just kind of there.
I
And
think
then it just added to like,
my only real criticism that comes from me when it comes to Assassination is I think a lot of their characters are good and they're interesting, but I feel like some of them could have done with a bit more. Like some characters like Okada and Rio, they more at the forefront because they're female, but other characters I think would have benefited from a bit more time. Like the snipers, I thought the snipers didn't get much time. They got very little.
they got
It's
very
like,
little.
I want to see a bit more. I also like all the ideas they come up with as to how they assassinate him, and I think what I love is that how that becomes the teaching strategy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think what I love about Koro Sensei is also him as a teacher.
Alright.
How he approaches it, and how he. I don't even know how to explain. He I mean, he teaches them Naruto, so I mean that's already a plus. But I like how they show the kids learning throughout the year, not just in academic ways, and not just because Koro Sensei can move at the speed of fucking sound, but also because the things they do with Koro Sensei, them trying to kill him, that creates the journey. And very often, and a lot of shows, the journey is just as important as the ending. And I think with Assassination Classroom, if it weren't for the journey, and if it weren't for the journey that the characters undergo, I don't think the ending would have had such a significance, and it wouldn't have been so feelsy.
Yep.
I think many would agree.
I remember going towards the end of my rewatch, starting to well up because I remember how it ended, and I wanted the journey they've been through. I wanted it to keep going. I wanted them to keep having the class, of course. I wanted them to keep having their fucking school life, all this fun they have together. It was amazing, and I knew it was going to end, and I knew how it was going to end, and it just made me really fucking emotional about that. Before the actual, a very emotional scene at the end, which of course got me. It didn't get me the first time because I wasn't even paying attention much. So I rewatched it, and Assassin's Classroom is actually phenomenal.
Mm.
Should I?
I want to say in a league of its own, but I think Ethan's gonna.
Alright, time for my criticisms.
One thing I'll say before your criticism, I just want to say one other thing. When I initially watched Assassination Classroom, I didn't like Nagisa's character.
True.
I wasn't a big fan. However, when I looked back on it, I began to appreciate his character a little bit more, simply because of where he ends up. I quite like what they did when it comes. When initially it was like, but I still think what he was needed to be the case in order to make him what.
Especially with the more outlandish story that it does tell.
Yeah. But I appreciate where he ends up and how they sort of, especially when he questions what he wants to do after the school, and then how that sort of transforms into what he actually does. I think. I mean, even for me, like from personal experience, some of my teachers have had great influences on me, and I can understand why Nagisa leans more towards the teaching job, because a teacher had such a effect on him. Anyway, go criticize.
All right.
Criticize
My criticisms, yes, is one of my biggest criticisms with Assassination Classroom is definitely, I think, Koro Sensei himself. More for the idea of him being this perfect being, especially when you go into his backstory. They do say he's a perfect being almost constantly. And as a juxtaposition, there's something very similar to Assassination Classroom, where it's about the teacher who the class is trying to get them kicked out because they don't want him. Obviously, it's not as outlandish as assassinating your superhuman teacher, but he's a bit of a Chad lad. That's a different story. And that's, of course, his GTO. And great teacher Onizuka, one of my absolute favourite anime ever. Top 10. However, the reason I think it works so much better in GTO is because you really feel the impact that this person who used to be a straight punk, who's very clear he's not perfect, he is a bit of a perv, he is a bit of a dumbass, but he actually teaches them valuable life lessons, and I think it even hits the audience a bit harder in GTO than Assassination Classroom. Of course, Assassination Classroom I would say better at like creating that journey and story and blah blah, but when it comes to actually being like a teacher, I don't think it compares to something as similar as GTO. And the idea of this perfect being kind of, I think it really slowed the thing down for me. Even when I rewatched Assassination Classroom, it kind of impacted how I viewed who Koro Sensei was and what he was doing a bit, because I like flawed characters rather than this idealism of being perfect, which is kind of why I hate someone like Todoroki. Ultimately, it's still a good anime and everything, but like I do have this bit of criticism due to this, because it is very similar to GTO, and it kind of, I can see how like they kind of came out of the same kind of thing and kind of plot story. They're very similar in story. It's just the way everything's going about. Of course, in GTO as well, you have Onizuka, who's the main character, and obviously you have Nagisa, and Nagisa kind of works better as a character, and it takes from a student's point of view. I'm not gonna say it's like terrible. I'm not gonna say it's shit. It's just for me, I didn't feel that into it and connected to it like I know a lot of other people are. Especially when I have something like GTO, which actually like I think hits me harder in terms of a teacher who you can recognize is not perfect. A man who literally saves people from suicide. Yeah. I think that just hits harder than a bunch of kids trying to kill their teacher. Yeah.
And obviously I can't say, I can't obviously respond to that, because I haven't seen Onizuka. Maybe I would have, but maybe I wouldn't agree. I don't know until I see Onizuka. I can't. So as to Koro Sensei being perfect, I can understand. I can
Yeah,
definitely.
you see where I'm coming from. It wouldn't have happened without the flashback bit, because they did say it a few times. Like, I remember.
I still think.
Just
I think that
pull me off a bit.
I think his perfection doesn't bother me too much, if at all, simply because I think his perfection creates that insurmountable hill that is their goal to kill him. I think if he was flawed, I mean, he does have weaknesses. Obviously, that's the entire point of Nagisa. But if he were more human and if he was more normal, I feel like that insurmountable thing wouldn't be there. The point is, you have to kill him by this year. Like your kids, you have to kill this fucking Goku in like a year. Do it. It's like, the fuck am I supposed to do this? So I get where you're coming from. How
It's just from that teaching perspective is where I kind of get lost with it.
Those two animes have different protagonists.
Yeah.
Onizuka is a protagonist, but Nagisa's a protagonist in Assassin's Classroom.
That's why I said. That's why I credited it.
As a perfect protagonist. If he was a perfect protagonist, it'd be a very different series.
Yeah.
But he's the obstacle that they must overcome, which they don't, but still. Also, I want to say, I love in Assassination Classroom, some of their assassination techniques would have worked had they done them sooner.
Yeah.
Because Koro Sensei gets stronger as he goes on. So some of the things they do late game, had they done it at the start, the anime would have been over. I find that
like when they won the trip, I thought that was a good kind of little bit where everyone was working together, and it got to this point where it's like that they started working together and not just individually get the money, which I didn't think was as big of a thing in the thing. I feel like they could have done a little bit more on that with characters.
About the money
Instead
of thinking about the challenge.
It is one of those things where it is like, to have such a big cast, of course some other characters do get neglected. Yeah. Which it definitely felt like.
I do love that arc.
Yeah.
Where he pulls out it's an arse pull really, that now he's like an invincible blue ball and they can't kill him in that state. Which was bullshit to me. Why you just bring that out of nowhere? But that's not the point of the arc. Now he can't do anything for 24 hours, and now the real story begins. Yeah. I really love that.
And it also brings in this world and it had connected to like previous events that occurred in the story.
And I also like the how there's the sort of the thing where they want to kill him, but also they realize, hang on a minute,
he's helping us.
Genius.
Yeah.
Like if we kill him, then we're not. He's taken us from we're not gonna fucking pass to we're gonna become better than the top students. And that's fairly interesting.
They feel that they're nothing without him, and Koro Sensei is trying to build them to be something without him.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And unrelated, the live action movie is.
Live action also on Pog. There was two of them. There was two of them.
There's two parts, and I liked them so much. I took both parts, put them into Photoshop, the
Premiere
Pro, and stitched them together.
Give it.
Make it one big thing, but I don't know. I might have lost it now. I can't find it. Which it might be on my phone somewhere, so I have to have a look. But anyway, moving on from Assassination Classroom.
Are we going on tier high?
Well, I'd say probably the second biggest anime on this list, arguably.
I mean, we still haven't talked about Naruto. We haven't talked about Naruto. Yeah, right.
Anyway, Naruto. So, the ending. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. The ending was okay. How do I put this respectfully? How do I put this respectfully?
Please.
It was fucking shit. It was good until my boy stopped being the villain, and then when they brought out this Kaguya, that's when it went down. However, before that, Naruto was an excellent series. And considering he had to make it go, like, you know, how with Naruto, there was some, he didn't Kishimoto didn't realize it was going to be big, so after that he had to make more laws, stuff like the tailed beasts that weren't initially a thing, Jinchuriki, all that. The fact that he took it from that, I think, considering what happened, he did a very good job. Considering what happened. And one thing I'll give Naruto is I mean, not only the power system and all that was so interesting, and that captivated me. But also, something I think it did really well is character, but not just characters, also how they think and feel. I think Naruto handles emotion very well, better than most shonen that I've at least seen, because the way Naruto thinks and feels, and the way, especially Sasuke. I'll get to Sasuke, but first Naruto. When he had the panic attack in the Land of Iron, I took that as a sign as they know what they're doing when it comes to emotion. This man has all this burden placed upon him. You know, he wants to become Hokage. He wants to get his friend back because he made the promise to Sakura. The Akatsuki's on the move. A war's about to break out, which I mean, I guess he doesn't know about that war. But the point is, all this shit is happening. All this stuff is being stacked onto his plate.
He knows he's wanted.
And then Sakura comes out, and I don't hate on Sakura as most people do. I don't think she's this horrible shit. Anyway, but the point is, when she comes out and says she loves him, and he knows he's not an idiot, that much of an idiot. He knows she's lying, and then when she tells him she doesn't want him to look after Sasuke, when that all builds up and he breaks, I think that's realistic. That's real. That's something that would happen. That it feels. It feels like this character. A lot of characters, they get all these burdens and all that, and maybe they'll give up or whatever, but none of them really have a fucking panic attack. And then you move on to someone like Sasuke. Now, admittedly, with Sasuke, I think that, I mean, he's not one of my favorite characters. Obviously, he's probably wouldn't even be the top 20. And I can understand where a lot of criticisms for Sasuke comes. But one thing I will acknowledge about Sasuke is I think his journey was very realistic. Because when it comes to things like hate, and I've experienced this firsthand, it doesn't necessarily have to have logic. Once you start hating something, once you start to have that hate, even if you remove the stimulus for that hate, even if you remove what you hated, sometimes hate is so gripping that you continue to hate, and you continue to even hate things that you normally wouldn't hate, things that if you had a sound mind you wouldn't hate normally, but because you are already hating, now you hate that. And I think with Sasuke, that's at least what I sort of got, in the sense that yes, okay, he sort of makes amends with Itachi a bit more, but just because he now has a reason to protect the leaf doesn't mean he's going to protect the leaf. This hatred that he's built up, this hatred he's continued to build up, and even when he teams up with Naruto towards the end, it's like this hate has built within him, and it's come to this point, and it's not easy to let go of that. And I think wherever the other things that happen with Sasuke, fair enough, I can acknowledge that there's other problems with his character, but that hatred, his emotions, and how he feels and how he thinks, I can see that as being very real. And I will give something to Kishimoto that I think he does emotion very, very well. He does depression, anxiety, all that shit. He seems to understand how it affects people, and that is something that is perhaps the biggest compliment I will personally give Naruto.
I think,
and then obviously,
if
I
you
like
were
you
gonna,
saying this because I never thought about Naruto like that, and holy shit.
I think if you're gonna talk emotional moments, I think I have impacted from different moments than you. For example, obviously I know from reading like the little messages that Kishimoto puts in his manga, like parts of the Naruto story changed because of things that happened in his life, such as him becoming a father, and we would have never gotten Kushina and Minato without him becoming a father and knowing those emotions. And I think that was one of the moments that kind of impacted me a lot. Was when Naruto finally met Minato, and what's his first reaction is to punch him in the gut. And another thing is just Kakashi in general is like a perfect example of other things. Like one of my favorite Kakashi moments isn't one of his jutsus. It's not him doing badass things. It's just when he sits down and talks to Sasuke. He nails him down and he just talks to Sasuke. It's what made Kakashi one of my favorite characters. He told him, yeah, you could kill everyone who I loved, but they're all dead. You're a bit late because all this has already happened to him, and it kind of hits you a lot harder when you realize that like Kakashi has every right to be as mad and as angry as Sasuke, but he's not at the same time.
But he chooses a different path.
Yeah.
I think that's very important to have that
And Kakashi does everything in his power to get him on the right path.
You even see this in the very first arc, and one of the reasons I love Zabuza is more for when he does show his emotion, he does care about Haku and how he wants to die and how he chooses to die is kind of why Zabuza became one of my top 10 favorite characters in all of Naruto, and even continues that further when he gets reanimated and all that crap. And that's another aspect of Naruto I really would love to talk about is death. Death is handled incredibly well.
Yeah.
The only real like big ass pull kind of is like the Renner rebirth in the pain arc, but I'm fine with that because it kind of explains shit.
I think that was more just to set it up for when it gets used later on. But
the extent it went on, it was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It annoyed me. I mean, I didn't want the characters to die, but god damn it.
Yeah.
Really? I will say, Naruto is an emotional series. Despite the fact I put 3 anime on my list that make me weep. Ballad of Gun on the stars animes we watched. Nothing has been, even One Piece, with all those, you know, some of the it's One Piece. There has never been a series that's made me well up and tear up as much as Naruto. Near the end, with his father returning back to death. That moment, I don't know why that hit me so hard, but it just broke me. Just Naruto saying everything he could in the last few moments he could with his father, knowing that he wouldn't have to see it again. This was his last chance. It broke me. And there are so many other moments in the series. Just made me well up and feel so emotional. Just, words. There's what happened with Jiraiya and Azuma, and hopefully people have seen Naruto, and even Kakashi.
The only one that I would say just don't spoil is the one in the war. The one in the war is the one where it's like don't spoil that one. Because that one, to have a character die in an unsuspecting way was just amazing.
Real.
That's real. That happens in real life. And
die.
it's just,
like that's what happens in wars. They just die. It doesn't have to be glorious. It doesn't have to be all this. Sometimes they just die.
I don't want to spoil it because we just said we wouldn't, but I do. Whilst that death really did hit me, the idea behind that character at the start of the series and what he ended up becoming, despite the fact that I love him very much.
I hated him originally, and he's my third favorite.
I didn't. But the idea that it was talent will always beat skill, and he was skill, and then Naruto was talent. He was saying like he's trying to prove that it's the other way around, or he's trying to prove that he's worth something. And then by the end of this, because he's trying to he's worth more than what he was born to be, and then by the end of the series, he just becomes that thing he was trying to say he wasn't.
He was the hero.
Well, he was the hero, but he was.
We're not spoiling it. What happened at the end with the whole reincarnation shit? That was like with when Kaguya came in, and that's when it went to shit. But I will say one other good thing that Naruto does is the way it explores circumstance. Take Gaara and Naruto. They both had. They
They're
were
both raised very
They
similar.
both had very similar childhoods, but the difference is that Gaara just had shittier circumstances. He just had significantly shittier circumstances than.
And ultimately, it basically created the serial killer.
And then you got B, and then how B handles it. How B handled that, and he handled it in a completely different way to how the other guy.
Because B had A as well.
Yeah.
And then
But
that's one of my favorite episodes of all of Naruto is
But even before he had
two
A,
sons.
when he was getting shunned by society, he, instead of having a sook about it, he just started rapping.
He expressed himself.
He just started rapping.
Yeah.
What a mad cunt.
Yeah.
He's a mad dog. What a lad.
We definitely didn't get to see a lot of the Jinchuriki. We got to see more in, I think, the filler arcs. We got to see Utakata in his own little filler arc, which was nice, as well as Fu in the Jinchurikis, in the Chunin exam arc.
What a good filler arc. Secondary.
Those two filler arcs, those were good. We didn't really get to see a lot of like the hidden stone ones, like Roshi and Han. Yugi Ni was also kind of forgotten.
I wish we got more of the Jinchuriki and even the other tailed beasts, but
but I can understand.
What we got was good, and again, I would go on about Mother. Save that for the antagonist when we do the antagonist 3x3, but just the war up until that point was so good. The way they handled that, the way they did. Yeah, Naruto is just that series. If it weren't for the ending, it would be significantly higher.
It would be
significantly higher.
As well as one of the aspects of the war that, like, I know a lot of people apparently like don't like the war, but like I never understood that because majority of the war is actually pretty good.
It is good.
Yeah, it is.
Majority of the war is good. Of course, the ending, that's where it lets off. But when I hear people say like, alright, you should have just stopped at the pain arc because the war's shit. It's like, no, the war's not shit. It's just the ending to the war shit. But still,
for some people, it's the ending that makes it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't finish off great, then everything that built up was nothing.
but it continues in Boruto.
Ew. Even post Madara War, there had some good moments. Still, one of my favorite attacks in the series was the reverse, the multi-shadow clone reverse harem jutsu. That was, I loved it. It was
one
shit
thing I'll
because
give
of
him.
Kaguya, but
One thing I'll give him up, like after Kaguya comes, and it's when it's the final fight. Now this might have happened before, but I can't remember exactly when. But I know I noticed it in the final fight. And that was Naruto stopped using two hands.
No, it was definitely he definitely picked that up in the war.
Yeah, so
There's some scenes where he just has
using the Rasengan. He had to get a clone to do the Rasengan or
to help the form.
But during the final fight, he stopped doing that.
He just learned.
Me, that was so subtle. At no point did they say, "Oh my god, he stopped using Shadow Clone jutsus." No, he just stopped doing it. Which is like, yeah, because now he
had to repeatedly use it constantly throughout a stressful time, so it just triggered. It makes sense. A lot of things happen in a tough war environment. I think the war, especially, because it was a war, one of the best wars efforts that actually occurred in an anime itself. Like, of course, it doesn't top my favorite war, or the war that we're getting right now, but in another series.
It would have.
It would have, yeah. And even other things, like I love the pain arc, and I'll probably talk about that more in my antagonists when we do the antagonist list, but the pain arc as well, amazing. I do love like the whole setup for the war as well, how they actually had to have a summit. I love how there was a different like council, like the Land of Iron were kind of just the consultation for that.
It definitely felt more strategic, like a bit more strategic and shit.
And then there was other conflicts and personal conflict, and of course, especially in Shippuden, Shikamaru's character.
Oh my god!
His development from the beginning of Naruto to what we got was insane.
That entire trio.
Even to the point of what happens in the war. Even when like death occurs in the war, one of the aspects I love about the war deaths and all that kind of stuff is like they know it happens, it occurs, but they have to move on.
I know.
They just have to move on. But there's no time to grieve.
Yeah.
They can grieve about it later. They can cry about it later. They have to continue and live on and kind of respect this thing. And it's also the fact that it was an allied shinobi force. Gaara's speech hit me hard.
Oh my god.
Gaara's
that
speech
a
is
good
amazing.
speech.
Kakashi
I was
coming
gonna do that,
Kakashi coming back into terms with like meeting old foes in the Seven Ninja Swordsmen. Him using the
Right.
sword was amazing, and even just the different divisions kind of brought it all together. And then all the 5 Kage coming to fight together, like you know that signifies something very impressive. But even early Naruto, it has a lot of charm. Tune-in exams, Rock Lee versus Gaara, amazing. Rock Lee's story in the beginning of Naruto, although he doesn't get enough, I think in Shippuden, my guy kind of steals the show.
It's really unfortunate, but you know, my guy's my favorite character now, so I don't give a fuck. But it is unfortunate on paper that Rock Lee didn't get to.
Obviously, Naruto is one of these animes that one of your animes, especially on your list, that we could sit down and probably talk for hours about. But I am just trying to briefly skim over a lot of it because there is a lot to talk.
We could keep going.
We could keep going.
We should move on because we could talk for ages about Naruto. But...
Yeah.
We have, can, and will, but not now.
In other streams, I'm sure they'll show up again.
Alright,
Are we going one up? Are we going one up?
I could see it like a recurring theme.
yeah, right, yeah. Actually, I think this actually works perfectly.
Okay.
Alright, so above that, we've got Keijo. Moving on.
What? You can't move on from
Okay,
Keijo.
No. Because it's self-explanatory. Okay, so, Keijo. Now, let's put aside the fact that they are using their tits and their asses.
You want to put aside your
And
favorite
they're
part
in
of the
swimsuits.
series.
It's actually very creative. Like, their abilities are very creative. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yes.
they're very, like, I mean,
Titty
like,
hypnosis.
In all seriousness, you use the most unorthodox method of knocking people off. And yet, you've just got this one and just a wall of asses.
The only thing I can compare it to is kind of like I think American Gladiator when that show was running when I was very little. Like they all had like sticks and they were trying to knock each other off in a land. But of course, this is very different, and I appreciate it, and it's amazing.
See, you see, what's his name? Lucifer, right? Call it Lucifer from Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, fuck his power.
Alba doesn't.
She doesn't need a book. She just needs a wall of asses, and that's how she.
She needs to massage the asses to gain the abilities.
Touch and press.
Yeah.
But you know what? Aside from.
It actually had the right character development as well.
Yeah,
that's why Alba's my favorite, because she got a lot of character development from a shy girl to someone who has to speak up.
It actually did more things than tits, which
yeah.
Granted.
Of course, there is more in the manga, but I can totally see why a lot of people love the series. It's an easy watch, 13 episodes.
All the characters are very unique and colourful. And,
even just all the styles. Like one of my favorite characters is I forget her name all the time, but I just refer to her as Cerberus because her ass is Cerberus.
And I like the one where I forget her name. The titty. I just call her Titty Samurai.
I like her as well, but I feel like she needed more development. That was the only thing.
Yeah, more time.
She was a very background character, and then she did that thing. And I'm like, what the hell? Oh. No.
Anyway, there's not much to talk about with Keijo.
The picture actually, like my second favorite character is kind of there.
That was sick. And also
that's my second favorite character, hitting her in the face.
There's a bit of science that they apply to it.
Like how American butts are very different, like they're bigger
but
and
even
shit.
when
astrology.
Is it Hanabi?
Yeah, Hanabi. Hanabi's the pink-haired one.
When she hits her, she's hitting the jaw to shake her bone. Like that's kind of cool. Anyway, moving on
to something very similar to your icon.
One of the best anime of all time. Okay.
It's an anime about Caleb.
Now. Here's how the story went. We were at school, and Nathan comes up to me. He's like, "You'll."
I recently rewatched something.
So we go to the oven. We have a look, and I look at the character. I'm like, she's just me. There's no other way around it. It's just me. Better version of me.
Because it's a woman.
Me. Well, yeah, and also she got good grades.
Oh, yeah.
100 on everything. Me.
I remember that day because didn't like
I mean,
Mr.
she got a 90 on one of them.
Didn't one of the
99.
teachers like come up to us and think we were watching porn?
Yeah.
And nah, we weren't. We were
No,
watching this.
I'm watching a sausage roll.
Watching-
we
Watching
went
crab
into the
pepper
canteen
chips.
and got like Pepsis and
Yeah.
chips.
The show is just fun. It's just a fun show. And the characters are amazing. All the characters are amazing, but it's just
It's good fun.
I can't explain it. It's just fun.
I know what it
That's-
feels like to be Taihei.
And it's there's nothing I could say negative about it. It's just a really good, feel-good, fun series about this girl playing video games and eating chips and drinking cola for 24 episodes.
and then
Yeah.
the antics she gets up to. To me, that's the funniest shit. The shit she does to be just like she's like a little cunt, but a lovable cunt, but a
And then
cunt
she
nonetheless.
gets friends later on that she didn't expect she'd be getting with TSF and
Yeah.
no and shit.
Yeah.
And she just opens up more with all these people she could share.
You also
these
have, like,
aspects of her life with.
Well, one thing is as well because like although she is the main character, Taihei is also the main character, and you also bringing in the more adult themes of
He's
his
the one who
life.
suffers.
He's the one who suffers, but he also has that girl who likes him. He has
Yeah.
his own friends, the blonde cunt and the
Bomba.
but yeah.
I think I would say it is more. I think he would be he's the main character that we see Omaru from. Because even like it even starts from him saying like, "This is my little shit of a sister.
Yeah.
She's a cunt. Yet somehow I keep enabling her, and when I don't, she throws a tantrum."
How old is she?
15, yeah,
16.
16.
Girl acts like a 6-year-old.
Yeah, it works. It's funny.
It's good fun.
Half the time.
Well, one thing, like, if you didn't see the poster for this and you just went into this series and you didn't know what the hell was happening, you go into it right, and you just see like this person. Oh, I'm a great, pretty girl. I'm perfect. I get good grades. And then she walks into her house. She closes the door and immediately just shrink.
I think the funny parts is when her Himoto side like leaks into her outside form. Like she'll just be outside and she'll drop her ice cream and her face will go into indoor form like for a split second, and then she'll go back into perfect form. And I find those moments very funny when she slips between the two.
There are similar series like this, like Psyche K's kind of like comedic style as well.
True.
But yeah, it's just comedy, a little fun series, easy to watch. 2 seasons, not a lot of episodes in either one of them, but yeah.
And then they've got OSTs, and some of the OSTs are very funny.
Yeah.
Moving on from that to a series I can talk a bit more about.
Yeah.
Kill la Kill. So Kill la Kill, I
It's
was
not common.
told repeatedly to watch because a lot of people, for some reason, liken it to a Kamega Kill,
Why?
which I've never understood.
I thought it was just the name. It had kill in the
Yeah, the
name.
name, fair enough.
It kills.
Main character with the black and red aesthetic.
This is not
Yeah,
the main
no,
character though.
yeah.
The main character is Tatsumi.
Yeah. But,
They're very different. Very different.
But regardless, it quickly exceeded a Kamega Kill for me.
Animation
I
style,
understand-
amazing.
Oh, that studio.
Studio Trigger.
Yeah, Trigger.
Gurren Lagann.
I love it. Yeah, I gotta watch Gurren Lagann.
There are anime that have specific styles. There are anime studios that have these styles that they just stick with, and it's Studio Trigger's animation style, or who am I thinking of? Science Saru, like with Raiju Wave and Tamiyasi. These studios have a unique look to them, and it just the feel, the style is just, I don't know how to describe it because I'm an idiot, but unique. I'm an idiot.
My
But
favorite
style
character
is
was the
unique.
naked man teacher.
My favorite character is Yorigami Kori.
But one thing I can acknowledge. So one thing I'll acknowledge is for some people it takes a bit for them to get into. I didn't. I was into it the like from episode 1, primarily because it had a serious side, but it also didn't take itself seriously in the slightest.
And it definitely did feel like it.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
And that's something that drew me in, and especially like the power system where clothes are just fucking.
I think when I watched it, I just felt like
Powers.
I just felt like this was kind of like influenced by other things, like with the whole Sailor Scout aesthetic of the main character, and the fact that their uniforms are called the Gokus or whatever it was, Son Goku, Sungetsu or something like that.
But even then, the message was actually quite interesting. How, well, at least for me, I interpreted it as the message was not to become attached to things and not become attached to material things and to understand what's really important and shit like that. I quite like that. Matsui was an interesting character for me, especially when she goes a bit cuckoo.
As well as the side main character and her things. Yeah. Like you even have like a framed image of her. Or in a Jotaro pose, but whatever.
I do have it, and I have that on my fridge. And even the uniforms were all very unique and normally I don't like gimmicky shit, but I think in this case it worked quite well, and
as the story progressed, it did get a lot better and better because it delved more deep into why everything's happened, what's with the weird scissor thing, Shinketsu himself.
The OST, the soundtrack, Blumenkranz, Before My Body Is Dry, both the entire not the entire reason, but part of the reason I love Raugyo so much is her theme song. As soon as she steps in and the theme song starts, I'm like, I like it. Even though the German is apparently atrocious in that, but yeah, I just think it's another one of those anime where it's like not feel good, but comedy, but it just don't take it. It's not taken seriously until it is, and it's very interesting when it is. But then still, it's like, it's in that sort of.
It is definitely one of those anime. Like, for someone who doesn't watch anime, like it's probably a good place to like third or fourth anime to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand where some people will be turned off because of
the fan service aspect to it as well. Yeah.
But even though it all ties into what the theme of the series is.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Which is why after finishing it, I don't hate it in the slightest.
Yeah, even just some of the villains, like I fell in love with a lot of like the first original villains, and all the student council people, like the computer guy's second favorite. I forget her name. The one with the music one. She's great. The big man, man's a chap. Yeah, no. I knew it was a name.
Who's right?
No was great. The blind fucking samurai guy, he was great.
Oh, he's mad. I like
and the big Chad man, of course, he's great as well. They're all great. And it's kind of evolved in how they all come together in the end as well. It's kind of just, yeah. So we're going up to your top 3 now?
Yes. Which is surprisingly like pretty much my top, except Umaru, but Umaru's fronted. The top three, that's actually...
What's the easiest thing to talk about? I feel like...
Was the order of...
I just did it in the list that you made.
Oh, okay.
Just so, like, if you wanted to have a flowing list, you could just look at the one note.
That works perfectly.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so I'll start with Toaru. I think Toaru is an extremely underrated...
You actually wrote down Scientific Railgun.
I just wrote Railgun. Oh.
Yeah, you wrote down Railgun.
I'll use that as Toaru in general, because...
Yeah, obviously, Toaru is amazing.
Probably, actually, my favourite is probably Accelerator, because Accelerator. But both, I started with Railgun.
I started with Index.
Railgun. And then I watched first, second season of Index, and then watched season 3 of Index, then obviously Accelerator. Anyway, very underrated series in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Railgun, not so. Railgun, some people know. Index, no one knows about.
Which is sad because it's the main story.
I remember when Samir came up
And
to
I
me
love that
and
story.
he said, "Have you seen that Accelerator anime?" And I'm thinking, "Excuse me?" And then he says he hasn't seen Index or Railgun. I'm thinking, the fuck you watching Accelerator for? Like what? That baffled me. But the characters are all great and lovable. The power system's great, but I'm not going to go into it too much.
The power system would take very long to explain.
But yeah, but
I think, like, even just the power system itself, I do want to talk a little bit about it. Like, that's kind of how I came to terms with how I came to terms with my favorite character is because he did use both of the power systems, and that kind of influenced me. Like, of course, he's a very me character. He has that aesthetic, and one of my favorite scenes is just him kicking Tomer out of the plane. But it's also like him because he's meant to be someone with a railgun. He's a shit level though. I think he's level 1 or whatever it was, and his ability is just to heal himself, which is perfect for him to be able to use magic. So because there's a clash, you cannot use one. You cannot use both. Sorry, you cannot use both. So when he uses magic, it actually harms him. The way he uses magic, he does like little circles of stuff and things. Yeah. He's a great character. One of the best friends to the main character as well.
Very well. It feels very magic-y.
Yeah.
It's not just like bending and shit. It's like magic. You incantations, got to do rituals and all that. Like that's sick. When in Index, when they do the whole like ritual on the table thing, I'm like, that's cool. That's magic. That is how magic should be handled, not fucking.
Like, I can say like there are other anime that are like that. The whole anime is set in one city, but it feels like the city itself is the anime, like Durarara.
Yeah.
But the city itself in Toaru, it never felt like it's a character. It's just the set, and it adds to the world building slowly once you watch each individual part of Toaru. So you have the Index side of things, which is the main storyline. It connects to Railgun in a weird way because like the first season of Railgun takes place before the first season of Index, which happens while season 2 of Railgun happens, and then season 3 of Railgun, which is a lot newer and is the newest one, I believe. Is it not? Is it the newest one? Or was it Salvo?
Railgun season 3 is the newest.
Yeah, so Railgun happens in the same time as season 2 of thing, and then you have season 3 as well of thing, which doesn't have a correlation yet. I'm waiting for that. It is based off light novel as well.
Yeah, and I want to read them. I want actually proper read them.
Like even I have a light novel series, but great series. I know I've kind of taken this over a little bit, but this was definitely something like you told me about. I remember like this. Yeah. You definitely brought me into this, and...
which is why I'm proud, because it's like this is the one I told people to watch. Yeah. No one told me to watch this. I watched this and then I told other people.
And I'm so glad you did, because it is one of the best series, and it's coming from someone like me, who's watched a lot of things, to keep it in like my top 20 or whatever I do. It's still very impressive, and I love all the aspects. There's so many great characters, the arcs that happen. Toma himself just being an unlucky person is just hilarious.
Toma's funny.
Toma's house. There's also a lot of comedy aspects that add into it. Like I love when Index tried to clean the bathroom or whatever, and she ends up destroying the bathroom just because she tried to clean it.
and then that all happened because what's her name? Fuck.
Itsuwa. Yeah.
She comes in. And Toma gets fucking upset because she's actually helping out. Normally he's the only one that works. She's actually helping him with the housework. And Index is just sitting there like a little cunt. And he just fucking cracks, and it's so funny.
It is really great.
The clones are lovable. Oh,
there's a lot of aspects to the world as well. And one of the hardest things for me is always like the different organizations within the thing, like Item and all them. And all the different churches and all that stuff. It's hard to remember, but it's amazing.
A very underrated series, one that is quite close to my heart, and it just fantastic. It was one of the earlier animes I watched. Not,
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say it's one of the first, but it was earlier on. I watched Railgun.
Probably more
to
around
be-
like your 10th anime, I feel like.
The openings of Railgun are all fantastic. The opening of Accelerator was amazing. Most of the Index ones are alright.
Index gives you more of a supernatural feel.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's very akin to a lot of American supernatural aspects.
Yeah. Railgun's very electric, which as it should be, very yeah.
I'd hope so.
Accelerator's opening is very rocky, which I fucking
Mm.
love. Opening Shadow is like that's mad.
Alright, so should we move on to these two kings that you have as number
Alright.
1 and 2?
Oh.
Which one do you want to go to first? Which one are we doing first?
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball first? Okay.
Dragon Ball.
And I put the...
What a
Dra-
masterpiece.
Okay. Dragon Ball is not. Okay, how do I? Okay, you know what? I'll just put it like this. It's not necessary. It doesn't have the traits of a good anime necessarily. It doesn't have the complex character development. It doesn't have the complex power system or you know like amazing perfect world building or history or politics or any of that.
There's
It's
dinosaurs.
just a story about buff dudes punching the ever-loving shit out of each other.
Well,
Or
that's...
going back further in the past, a kid who throws a woman in the car, shoots the car, think it's a monster, and then goes around collecting balls to summon a green snake monster.
And also not being sure but what genders are.
Yes, and having an interesting way of testing genders. However, despite it not having the traits of a fantastic series, it's a masterpiece. It is. It's able to captivate you when watching it in a way that other anime don't always do, and especially considering the fact it does it with so much less. The best way I can describe it is it's just an enjoyable show. It's just one you can sit out. You don't have to give a fuck. You don't have to care. You just watch men beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. And there are great things like character development, Gohan's development, Vegeta's development, Piccolo's development. All good.
Launches development.
All good.
Krillin's
All good.
development.
Krillin, yeah.
Tien.
And even when Krillin like becomes a cop and he's like, you know what, this cunt can fucking blow up solar systems. Go do what you want. Oh, I'm out of my league now. What's the point? But even then, I like that how they handle that. But yeah, Dragon Ball is one of the most famous anime for a reason. It is what it is because it's something that I think anyone can watch. It doesn't matter if you like anime. It doesn't matter anything. It's something you can just sit down and watch, be it Dragon Ball, Z, or even Super. I acknowledge Super's problems, but
Even the ending
and
to Z's problems.
obviously Z and Dragon Ball is better, and I personally prefer Dragon Ball over Z. I think the
Muscle
first,
Tower is all very
I
boring.
think Dragon Ball itself is just so underrated compared to Z.
Yeah. Which makes sense considering, like, because Dragon Ball Z came out first in America and the dub came out first. And then Dragon Ball, the original series, came out much later. Like, I remember, like, when someone... the first time I ever picked up Dragon Ball, I was in Year 7. I actually picked up the manga of Dragon Ball Z. I read a little bit of it, but, like, I couldn't get into it. It was only, like, a few years later, like 4 years later, when I decided, okay, let's go back, let's start at the beginning, let's watch Dragon Ball. And I loved that experience so much more than if I had started with Z. I understand a lot of people just watched as a kid and thing, but like being someone who was a lot older and being able to recognize the different aspects that made Dragon Ball, that made Goku, and just this fun
just an
little
adventure.
kid on an adventure.
Such
Who
a blast
the-
to go
Another thing with like my recency is like I recently reread Dr. Slump, which was his previous work, and there's a lot of early aspects that are introduced in Dragon Ball from Dr. Slump, where if you read Dr. Slump, there are aspects to it where he just draws things from the West. There's a character like fully just based off Superman. I've seen him like literally just draw Alien, the Predator as well. And then adding on to that, like we start with this journey of the West kind of Chinese story, and then we do something different and we add a tournament, and then the tournament arc kind of created what Dragon Ball would become. Even now, like we're still getting more and more tournaments, just trying to go back to what made Dragon Ball so great, and then pushing that forward to more serious arcs with the Red Ribbon Army and showing who Goku is and the emotional development to the point where he would eventually face his grandfather Gohan again, and then growing up, and then you see him as a much more adult person faced with someone who is a previous kind of enemy who's also different in Piccolo, and that is my favorite arc of all time in Dragon Ball. And I love that, and it only pushes forward once you get into Z, which they're both really the same thing, because like if you read the manga as well, it's the same with Naruto. It's like there's no real gap between Shippuden and thing. It's just the next chapter. The chapter just goes on. It starts from this like 300 blah 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 blah. Chapter 300. It just continues. There's no break, and it just keeps pushing forward. And
well, I do think there is.
Yeah.
I do tend to. I like to split the two.
Yeah.
Because I do think between Dragon Ball and Dragon,
they're very different as well. Yeah.
there is a difference.
Mm.
I love both of them equally. But
There was also like a big break between Dragon Ball Z and I think Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. He had a bit of a break before he came back and did Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. As well as I wanted to. Obviously, I think what was it like? It was definitely early this year. Like Caleb and I were recognizing like the influence of Western media on Dragon Ball Z, like how the Saiyan saga was akin to Superman 2, the old Superman 2, all those movies, and then you have Planet Namek, which was I forgot what you said it was. I remember like the Android saga was the Terminator.
Android's Terminator. The beginning is Terminator.
Yeah, I think we did say Alien, didn't we?
that
We
is-
said Alien for Namek saga, kind of. Didn't we? I don't remember. There was
I can't
something.
remember.
Yeah.
Something.
But like, I think it's
Terminator.
important to recognize like, we wouldn't have Dragon Ball, because a lot of people credit Dragon Ball as like, oh, it founded the foundation. It created the foundation of what we know as shonen, and yes, a lot of shonen were influenced by what Dragon Ball was, but they were also influenced by other things that were more important to the authors themselves.
Everything's influenced by everything.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So when someone says, "Oh, Dragon Ball's the greatest because it was influenced," but without Western media, we wouldn't have had Dragon Ball Z. We wouldn't have had all these things that would have occurred. And then you go look at like if you look at interviews, like yeah, sure, Dragon Ball was a big influence because it definitely created this shonen aesthetic. But even Dragon Ball, like it just when it started to become a more fighting aspect, it was like the editors telling him like, all right, you gotta punch through this, you gotta add a little bit more conflict into it, and then it actually was influenced, I think, by Fist of the North Star, which was a little bit earlier and still running in the same magazine. And then you had JoJo's as well, soon to be published around the time Dragon Ball I think ended and Z started, and JoJo's is as big as it is now. I don't know, it's just something that's I think just it is impressive that Dragon Ball can do that, but I think recognizing that we wouldn't have what we had without other things is very important. You look at Naruto was a little bit influenced by other people's works, like Togashi's work. You look at Bleach kind of feels like it was a little bit influenced by Yu Yu Hakusho. You have One Piece, and you have Oda, and Oda fully says like he was influenced by like Vicky the Viking. The art style sure was Dragon Ball and all that stuff, he influenced him. But there's other things, and giving someone so much credit to creating something that's so different, I think is a bit much for what things is, and it kind of places Dragon Ball in this space alone, where it's like, oh, I am the father of all shonen, when there were shonens before it, like Fist of the North Star, like I said.
But that being, but at
Yeah.
the same time, there is like obviously
Yeah.
a lot of
Global
writers
impact is
taking
probably
shit from Dragon Ball. Like,
yeah. Global
it blew
impact.
up. Like you ask anyone about anime, they won't know what you're talking about.
Dragon
Let's
Ball,
just say
everyone knows
Dragon
Dragon
Ball.
Ball.
They're like,
Everyone knows
yes,
Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
It's hard not to know that it really is a household name. It's hard not to know.
Especially because
Dragon
of the
Ball.
Western movie, but even aside from it, they know to enjoy.
I remember when that movie came out because when was it? It was like 2008 or whatever.
Let's see.
Yeah, I remember like KFC was doing like this deal, and I had like this Piccolo like toy.
Betrayers.
I had a Piccolo
like
toy. I don't know.
No, that's
Any criticism for Dragon Ball? Boo Saga ending kind of thing.
Boo Saga.
Gohan.
I tell you what,
The saga ending, they just have it with perpetually just one-upping itself.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight was just annoying and boring. But while I was watching it, I was like, whoa, it's getting even stronger. It was really exciting at the time. But in hindsight, it was a good idea.
It's enjoyable to watch, but it's like, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, like you said, Frieza Saga, Saiyan Saga, Cell Saga, just much better than Boo Saga, much better.
One thing I also just want to quickly just say about like Dragon Ball is I think Gohan, although he had his time to shine in the end of the Cell Saga, I didn't really like what they were doing in terms of the earlier arcs and what his character meant to the story, and kind of felt off because it's like I want Goku. I don't want this little kid who's a little bit of a wuss. I want Goku.
Well,
It even showed like when Goku was healing up towards the final fight against Frieza, we had to keep cutting back to see what Goku was doing in the thing, what he was thinking, and the story couldn't run without Goku. And I think that was one of the biggest detriments to Dragon Ball as a whole.
Yeah.
Is that to have not enough confidence in the other characters you created, you had to keep going back to this one character that you kind of know, that you know everyone likes, is one of the struggling bits about Dragon Ball. And then also the whole detriment of other characters kind of just being dropped off after their use is kind of over. Because they can't keep up.
Which is a shame that
Do you prefer characters just disappearing entirely, or just perpetually staying there doing absolutely nothing?
Even just like the forgetting of nature of
the
Launch.
character. Like Launch, I would have wanted to see back. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that she doesn't.
Yeah, Launch didn't really impact.
Never
the story
did.
as much.
Launch
You know
never
what I
could
mean?
have done anything.
Like,
No,
but she was
yeah.
just there. She was there for comedy. She was funny, which was a shame that we never saw her again because we forgot about it. But as for people like Tien and Krillin,
Yamcha,
Yamcha, yeah.
A new
Shiatsu.
But the problem with like people like Yamcha is he's just sort of there for people to make fun of him now.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he was actually until you know Launch came along, other characters came along. Yamcha was my favorite character. When I first saw him, I'm like, this guy's my favorite, and he stayed that way for some time until but until you know freeze up. Dragon Ball is just that thing that on face value you would underestimate it, but when you get to
I did. When I watched,
He definitely did.
when I started watching, I heard, what I'd heard is it's fun, but it's like flawed severely. And I watched it like, fuck, it's flawed, but holy shit, it's a masterpiece. And that was like the Red Ribbon Army saga. Like just after that, I was starting to feel like this is really something, and that wasn't even the peak of the series yet.
One thing,
Tien or the Cell Saga even.
I feel like it is very hard to grasp me in on a story in the first episode. And by what I mean is like I had watched Dragon Ball when I first started. It was like nighttime, right? Same with a few other series. And for me to watch Dragon Ball, the very first episode, and then my impression of this was like based off nothing as well, because the only thing everyone ever talks about is Z. I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch this. And obviously I was the first one here to watch it, and my impact was I'm gonna watch the first entire arc in the night. Like, I started very late in the night, and like I just picked up randomly, and just not a lot of series I can say have just been able to do that for me. Hunter x Hunter didn't, Naruto didn't, Bleach definitely didn't as well. Yeah, One Piece did, but that's a different story.
Hunter x Hunter. Well, I'll get onto that after.
Yeah, we'll get on to Hunter x Hunter, I guess, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter.
It's one of those anime that I feel like a lot of people say is like top.
Because it is.
So, when I initially watched Hunter x Hunter, when I initially watched through it and finished it,
Thanks, Luna, for the following.
When I initially got into it and finished it, I initially only held a lot of value in the Chimera Ant arc, and I still think it's their best arc.
I don't.
Anime. However, when I was going through it again, I did notice that the things I love about the Chimera Ant arc have actually not to the same intensity, but the things that they were doing in the Chimera Ant arc, some of those things were still present in Hunter x Hunter in the beginning and throughout all the way up until the end of Chimera Ant arc, and even beyond that, it still played it well. One thing I think what I would give Hunter x Hunter, and why it's very close to being my favorite anime of all. The only reason it perhaps isn't is because the fact that so much of what I love about it is Chimera Ant arc, and that is just one arc. But it definitely went up higher in my ratings because when I began to notice the same things. What I think it does really well is characters and how they exist within the story, and how they exist and how they change and exist. And so the best way I can sort of put it for the beginning of Hunter x Hunter is Hisoka. Hisoka is initially portrayed, and when you initially see him, you're like, oh, this guy's the villain. But he's not. He's portrayed as sort of a villain or an antagonist, but in actuality, he's more of a rival than anything else, and even then, partially a sort of goal, a rival / goal. Someone that, I was about to say Goku, Gon wants to strive towards and surpass. Someone that, through his desire to return the punch, learns Nen and learns all the things, and Hisoka literally acting as an obstacle in the tower, acting as an obstacle.
Heaven's Arena.
It makes him less of a villain, and more of just a rival, just someone there to test Gon, to push him to become stronger, which is of course Hisoka's goal, is to make Gon more arousing for him. In his words. But even then, and even beyond that, look, I'm just gonna go into Chimera Ant because that's the biggest thing.
You know, I'm going to talk about York New City.
The thing with Chimera Ant arc, and the reason I hold it in such high regard, and the reason I think, at least in my opinion, it's one of the best stories I've ever consumed, is the way it shows and expresses the journey of characters. That being Meruem and Gon, primarily. Other characters obviously go through journeys, of course, but I think that's the primary primary thing that pulled me in. And something I often hear when it comes to Chimera Ant arc is that people generally prefer the second part over the first part significantly, and I do understand that I prefer the first part.
First part's very boring.
But one thing, well, that's the thing for me. I actually don't. I actually never found the first. I actually found the first part very captivating and very interesting. Just the idea of the ants, being this species. You know what? Fuck it. Do I still have my notes? No, genuine. I was writing notes last time I was here. Okay. One thing I found interesting was that with the first part is how you have these ants, which are hive mind creatures, are creatures that their one and only purpose is to ever serve the hive, and that's what makes them so strong, ferocious. It's what makes them so dangerous. It's what makes insects so dangerous, that they don't care about individual goals. They don't care about them being more powerful than others. They don't have pride. That's what makes them so powerful. And whilst yes, these chimera ants have power because they take traits, and as they take traits from humans, they get stronger with men. At the same time, as they're getting physically stronger, they're actually getting weaker as a species. Because as they get stronger, all of a sudden, human pride setting. And all of a sudden, we start to see both the benefits of humanity and also the detriments of humanity. As they start to be more individualistic, they begin to break away, and as a result, problems ensue. There's infighting. They begin to kill not just to feed the queen, but because they enjoy killing, which is not the point. Sometimes they'll just leave bodies when they shouldn't. You're supposed to give that to the queen. You're supposed to help make the king stronger so your species can survive, but they don't do that because they're more interested in pride. They're more interested in becoming better, more powerful, and that comes into the fact that comes into the whole thing with humans, how our survival needs, things such as food, shelter, all that, even in real life, is generally what we need is we need food, thus we want more food. We need housing, thus we want more housing. Right? We need to reproduce, thus we want more reproduction. That is something that has driven humans, driven greed, gluttony, lust, all these deadly sins. It has driven, and now we see these sins beginning to develop with ants of the humans. And that's why the first part, I think, is so crucial to building up Meadowem, because it begins to build up the way that human nature begins to influence these creatures. And then of course we get the guards first. One criticism I have, and perhaps because I haven't finished rewatching Chimera, one criticism I do have is that I think they should have done more with UP. I felt like he was a bit of a third wheel, because most of the interesting stuff happened between Neferpito and Shirepoof, with both being on different ends of this. With Shirepoof wanting Meadowem to be more ant-like, and Neferpito wanting well, she doesn't really have a position, but as she begins to see what happens, how Meadowem begins to develop, she begins to take his side to an extent. She begins to understand and almost want to protect that, almost like a mother. And it's for that reason why it's one of those cases. You know, obviously I don't like when certain characters. In her case, it was very fucking necessary, because that's how it sort of played in. How she began to become, same with Meadowem, they start to become more human. They start to become more good. However, before Neferpito can even get to that, she disappears, and Meadowem gets to that point, but before he is able to actually use it to better the world, he disappears. And I sort of skipped ahead, but I'll trace it back a bit with Meadowem. Monstrous. He didn't know who he was. His mother died so he initially didn't even know his name. And part of what makes Meadowem such an interesting character is that lack of identity, and how he, like the other ants before him, has this human side to him. He has the killing, the need to feed, the need to eat, the need to dominate other species, yet he also has the human side of him, which is not just he doesn't want to do things just because of ants. He wants to do things himself. He wants to ensure that he is the most, he is the strongest. Thus, he plays the games. But then he comes across someone who is not who can beat him, who he can't beat, and even to the end of the show, he cannot beat. There is someone he cannot beat, and it's not some powerful god. It's not some powerful fighter. Even Netero, one of the most point, he fails to kill Meruem. But the one person he cannot defeat is this little sick girl at the fucking board game, and it's the one person he cannot defeat, and he never defeats in that show, because it shows that he shows. How do I put it? In to some extent, it shows that human side. It shows that he thought he was a god. He thought he was this, but he learns that no, he human than perhaps anyone in that show is willing to admit. Right, it's one of the when Zeno comes and sees Meruem protecting Komugi, and he comes out and he says, I can't remember the exact words, but he sort of says something along the lines of "no one told," or "I don't exactly know what I just saw," because they were under the impression there was going to be a monster. And I think when you bring in someone like Netero, who is up until this time we see him as this good guy, the quintessential good old man, employing perhaps like Meruem sits down and doesn't want to fight. He just wants to talk. He wants to discuss. Meanwhile, Netero is hell-bent on fighting him and killing him because that's his job, of course. But he wants to do that, and when he realizes Meruem is not going to fight him, identity, he uses the fact that Meruem doesn't know who he is, doesn't even know his own name. He uses that to egg him on to fight. And in that situation, it shows a character that is human employing almost monstrous tactics. And then you've got Gon, which is I suppose the antithesis of Meruem, the person who is in this series the center of moral good. He becomes worse. He deteriorates, and even at the beginning, you see him when one of the characters dies. I'm not probably spoiled a lot of it, but fuck. One of the characters dies, and he sees that. You can see on his face, which I think fantastic way the art guys did this. You can see on his face it's affecting him, but it wasn't even someone that was close. But when you see the other person, the main guy, die, it pushes him over the edge, and he becomes. The story is about him becoming the monster. However, it is also become about the monster becoming more human. And when he dies, and when he rebirths human, all of a sudden, when his ants want to speak out against him, when his ants want to kill him, he's like, I mean, part of him knew he was going to die. And he's benevolent. He becomes benevolent, and that's why I find it so interesting the way it happens, the way it evolves, the way Meruem as a character goes from one point to the other. Followed all this time has gone from one point to another, and then you got Killua being sort of in the middle, sort of looking at Gon, this person who has been his light, all of a sudden becoming his not his darkness, but becoming someone that
the light that he's been following for so long.
Exactly. Now it's gone. Now it's gone, and he doesn't know what to do. He can't do anything. You can't help. Not something you can help. That was a long rant, but
that was a very long rant.
Hunter is just beautifully crafted.
I was actually I kind of want to talk about other things about Hunter x Hunter, because obviously everyone knows that the 2011 anime, a lot of people, because that gives you a good story. It gives you an ending, a satisfying ending to the story. Of course, it's not the ending for hiatus x hiatus.
Yeah.
But when I first watched Hunter x Hunter, I watched the older version first, and that's what I fell in love with. And I would say it's more faithful to the manga in terms of the opening bit and the important role Kite plays in the very beginning that we didn't know until they just briefly did the backstory bit in when Kite appears, which it's nothing like what it should have been. Kite was a very important character.
I should have been in the beginning, which I think was.
Yeah.
But he still served the purpose he needed to serve, which was
Yeah. I just think it's more impactful, like, even just how, like,
Yeah.
Gon has his father's hunter card as well.
Yeah.
And there was a few other scenes that I think, like, with Kurapika and, like, him just at the end of the York New City arc and how his reaction, some of the scenes that played out were just so much better in the older anime, because it just had, even the OST that just brought that scene to life and just showed how depraved Killua was at that moment. But yeah, as far as adaptations go, it's pretty good. The only sad thing is I've read the manga. And I've read all of it. I read it from beginning to end, and that was horrifying.
So I haven't started the manga because I'm like, I'm not reading it and then stopping and having to wait like a fucking year.
It's been 2 years.
2 years.
And if it comes back, it'll be another 10 chapters. And then we'll have to wait longer.
And it's not like they're 40-page chapters, they're normal size.
Tagashi needs to get better. But also, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's worth him giving it to someone else.
I just think he should just
he
write
needs
it.
to make the decision.
Yeah. He should just get the help to draw, and that's it.
Whether he's going to drop the series or he's going to finally let go of his pride, because he's had no assistance for years.
Yeah.
He's a perfectionist. Everything he does, he needs to make it himself. It needs to be hit. He needs to pull his shit together and decide if he's going to not do it anymore, or if he's going to hand the artistic side to someone else and he continues to write the story. I know he has a story there, but he's unable to do it. So he's back and he needs to swallow up his pride and make a decision. And
even just early Hunter x Hunter, I think it's an amazing idea to start off a series with a tournament arc with the Hunter exam. I just think that works so well for the story, and then like moving forward, then you got York New City and all the stuff and events that happened there with Crollo, and that was more of a Kurapika story.
And then there's the power system.
And then it even connects into what our next arc would be, which would be the Isekai arc of them going into a game. Great Island.
Great Island for me was a bit weak, personally.
I think the villain was kind of just.
The villain was
the weakest.
Yeah.
It didn't feel as important. It just felt like an ending thing.
Yeah.
It was just part of the ending. Yeah, it wasn't much to.
But
the bomber.
Like that's when I stopped watching it.
But seeing just like the how the powers could be used, and even just that dodgeball game, because Razor was the true villain. Razor was the true villain. Let's be honest.
That was good. Yeah.
Razor was the true villain.
The dodgeball game was good, but I think because I stopped watching it, and then Alex started watching it, and then I'm like, okay, I'll pick it back. And then Chimera entered. I'm like, yes. Then I sped up.
Yeah.
Nothing's as good a motivator to continue watching something as someone else starting it. You're like, they can't beat me.
Are we? Is this the time? Are we gonna move on to my list or not?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I don't have much.
The final 3x3.
I took an hour. He took an hour and a half.
That's.
So much to say, and it's all so good.
Most of that was just.
All right. So, on my list,
I recognize.
Is that just a car?
Caleb has seen none of my list. Alex,
I've seen one episode of one.
I think I've seen an episode of Steins Gate.
Yeah.
Alex has seen parts of.
I haven't seen anything else of anything else.
No one. Caleb. Caleb's seen nothing yet, and Alex has seen.
I'm halfway through Gintama. I've only seen Bakumonogatari, and then I've completed 4.
Like any good list,
And the bottom 3 I've not touched ever.
Like any good list, let's just start at the bottom, I guess. We'll go with the car.
Initial D.
Initial D. This is my.
Dick.
So Initial D is the only real, I would say, car racing type of anime. It's kind of about Tokyo drifting, but for the time, I think when it was kind of made, I think it's very impressive how they used 3D models for the cars and even those scenes.
Oh, so it's like one of those ones where it's like 2D, but in some scenes the thing becomes 3D.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. It's been 10 years of that sometimes.
Yeah. But like for the time, I think it was pretty good, and I probably just put this in here, majority just for the music alone, the OSTs and stuff. Like it really just hypes you up when he's driving. like I watched the first 3 episodes of all of these last night just to myself with them, and
To familiarize yourself with your favorite anime.
these
Fair enough.
the top 30 anime from here. But yeah, Initial D is like about a guy who has literally no interest in cars whatsoever. Yet he works at like a petrol station or whatever it does, and like the only interest he has and the only reason he got into like the racing aspect to the world that he's brought into is because his father was a previous street racer, and he's been doing the deliveries on this one mountain for a couple years, even before he got his proper driver's license, which is kind of like at the beginning of the story. It's like he's meant to be a newbie, but he's been driving for like 5 years. And the way he just drives on this road, like literally, like the dad puts like a cup of water in his like little, the cup holder thing, yeah. And he has to race across this mountain delivering the tofu because that's what his dad does in his older age. He does tofu, yeah, he makes tofu. So he puts a cup of water, and this man has to drive the Tokyo drifting without spilling a single drop of water, and he's mastered it. And then it just from the first race that he gets introduced to, because like amongst everyone, like even just the casual drifters and the racers that are in it, like they care about this stuff, but he doesn't give a shit. His whole prompt for doing the first race is literally so he could get a full tank of gas for a date. And even then, the date that he's going on with, we get this later, and shit, it's like a lot of drama happens with that stuff, and even just the woman is, her job is, she kind of gets paid by like an older gentleman for casual, not sex, but like appreciating a younger female. Yeah, a bit, yeah. And it's just part of this world. It's like when he finds out about this thing that's happening, is when she actually breaks the deal off with the older gentleman, and it's kind of just like, oh fuck, and then like it just continues and continues. It's a good series, good watch. It's a bit long. It's like 70 episodes, but still, I think I enjoyed it. The racing kind of really picks you up. There's a bit of drama that's a part of it. I think for someone who doesn't give a shit about cars like me, I appreciate the main character because he doesn't even care. He doesn't even know what his car was. He just drove it for 5 years without knowing what the car's like type it is and what's it called. It's just whatever.
Car.
It's just car. So I appreciate that aspect to it because it's like there's more to this world, and there's not a lot of great racing anime out there. But from what there is, if you want music, great music, Initial D is the place to get it. It's.
I know of one now.
Yeah.
The other one.
That was a brief little thing of Initial D. Yeah.
Dick.
Now, my next one, moving over, City Hunter.
Man with gun.
Man with gun. Let's go.
Yes, you two only know him from Jump Force.
He's fun.
He's my main Jump Force.
Shooting Goku in the face with a fucking gun.
You've got these like at the same time. It's just a gun, and it just
Alright. So City Hunter is the one I said before. That was my oldest one. It's from the 87 is when the anime came out.
Oh, a lot of fucking old anime here.
Again, a lot of them are more from 90s era, but whatever. Yes, so City Hunter is kind of about this guy who is like a professional, not hitman, he's more of just like a bodyguard type character who does his own business. And the way it starts is like his best friend's adoptive sister kind of is visiting until like the best friend dies. And then like the girl moves into him, and like he keeps the promise to his best friend to kind of protect his younger sister. And as the story progresses, you realize, oh yeah, he loves this woman, even though he doesn't want to admit to his emotions about it. And majority of the thing, he is a perv. He's 100% a perv. He goes around just perving around. And like,
What perverse do you have here?
shut up.
Okay.
Literally, she gets a giant
like-
hammer and hits him in the head anytime he does pervy things, because like the way she dresses is more like a guy, and he kind of treats her more like, nah, you're not a proper woman, just to kind of like protect her from his own feelings and the world and his past. And once you get into his past, which happens so late in the series, it's like, damn, you really learn who this guy is. And there's even other characters, like there's like other bodyguard hitman kind of people in this world, and it's really cool. I don't know, one of the other females is a detective, and it's kind of, I don't know, there's just so much to this world. I put it here because I just really appreciate City Hunter. I don't feel like it gets enough love from a lot of people. It's very forgotten because it is one of those older anime, and the only parts of it gets now is a lot more movies and stuff like that. But even still, it flies under the radar a lot. And for like a seinen type aspect, it's just really enjoyable. Rio is one of my favorite characters. He's a great protagonist. Man with gun, as you two know.
Man with gun.
Man with gun.
Ah!
Drives that shitty red car. In his ultimate.
That's the ultimate move.
It's even funnier when he because the other guy who is like a hunter like him, it's kind of like he's just this big buff guy. So like he's driving the car, he's like his head's like out, like poking through the
So like
bending the car.
Incredibles.
Yeah, he's like the Incredibles. Yeah, there's a lot to love with the series. A lot of women that come in each episode.
Come.
a lot of things with him doing pervy shit.
I said that was
There's fun things. It has its serious moments. Its emotional moments. I don't know. There's a lot to love about City Hunter. But yeah, we're quickly flying through these because no one's seen them, so we can't talk about them.
Have you seen it, Alex? Have you seen City Hunter or not?
No.
I've
Yeah.
not seen City Hunter. The bottom three I've never touched. I've touched the top six.
Last of my bottom ones. Golden Kamui.
I've seen one like double page. No, like one like pages. Like a guy pissing on two characters. Like, okay, that's enough. But they're all smiling and laughing. It's just fucking stop. And
Alright.
that's just. I don't know anything else about the series except that I've seen that
This
somewhere.
is one of the more newer animes, I would say, from my list.
Isn't that the newest on it?
Yeah.
How new looking?
Golden Kamui is a historical kind of drama thing, like like a historical thing, because like it's based around the time when Japan was fighting Russia for occupying Hokkaido, the top northern island of Japan, and you just learn so much history about like Hokkaido and all that stuff. So like a lot of my knowledge from Hokkaido honestly came from thing before I looked into what actually happened in Hokkaido. Like this is what piqued my interest in Hokkaido and the northern parts of Japan. And so he was a soldier known as the Immortal Sugimoto because he had that animal instinct in him to just fucking wreck the shit out of everyone's day. And then like he stays in Hokkaido even though the war has just like ended just recently. And then like this one person like tells him about this story about the Ainu people and because they're the indigenous people of Hokkaido. And what he says is like, once this man tattooed on 24 prisoners, because he was also in prison for I won't go into it that much, but he tattooed 24 prisoners, and for previously he stockpiled gold, and like the whole point is to find this mystical amount of gold, its treasure beyond your wildest imagines, especially for like the time, because like guns do exist in that crap, but like this would have been early stages, especially for Japan's development into what it becomes now. And even just like having all these different characters aspects and come in together, and I think one of the best parts about it is you never know who to trust, because like so many people and so many groups want this gold, and like they have to find these 24 prisoners, and like literally ripping off their skins, or even just taking some of them along with them because like they don't want to die. Just to have the map, and the only person who can read it is a girl, is the daughter of the person who printed it, who is part Ainu, and like she is like the female lead of the story. She's a lot younger than a lot of the cast, but she has that like warrior kind of like thing in her, not like warrior thing. It's more just like she knows how to use a bow and stuff. She knows how Hokkaido works, like with bears and that crap. I don't know. It just continues on like that, and it's just, I think it's an amazing series that like I feel like Alex should definitely get into.
Yeah, it's something.
There's a lot of characters that are very great, and I think the whole thing where it's like you don't know who to trust is one of my favorite aspects in this historical drama. Like it's literally like one woman, and like even just the relationships that like characters you wouldn't expect to be important or care about become characters you actually care about. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of great moments. There's a lot of great characters, and it does put me on edge a bit when I watch it, because I'm like, when I first watched it, I was like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to trust. Oh, you scare me. But it's all in pursuit of treasure. So if you want a treasure hunting anime, Golden Kamuy, amazing, great anime. It has the third. It's a simulcast. Yeah, third season just recently came out, not too long ago.
Consider it a Caleb anime or no?
I mean, I feel like you would enjoy it.
It came out. It's a 2018 anime, so it's the newest.
Yeah.
I don't care what time it came out.
I know, but I googled it and I never got the time to say how new it was. This is it. This is me saying no.
I mean, I feel like from my list, you would enjoy probably all of them. The one I don't think you would enjoy as much would probably be the car racing one.
Right.
But like, I feel like you would enjoy it. It's not like Alex's list with here. My list is very seinen.
Mine I tried to fit most of my tastes.
But yeah, Golden Kamuy, it does feel underappreciated as well. And I have noticed like a lot more in recency of manga. There have been a lot more people wanting to do historical type aspects. Isn't that right, Alex? With Naruto, the martial arts and all that, and the other one that I don't want to talk about because I don't really like it. But yeah, for a historical manga about like early developments in Japan, I think it's good as well. Like the whole prompt for him wanting the gold as well, like one of his friends dies in wars and like he has to give, and even just some of the small stories and things that happen, it's so good. I definitely recommend this. I should probably move on from, because those are the three that like I'm the only one here who has watched. Alright, I'm just gonna push up to Cowboy Bebop, which is the last one in the middle row.
It's looking right at me.
It is looking right at me. Cowboy Bebop. I forget the director's name, Alex.
Shinichiro Watanabe.
Yeah, Watanabe. This was one of his very early works, I guess you would say.
Well, he did some episodes of Across Plus.
Yeah, but like original Watanabe himself.
Yeah, this is like his original proper series.
And yet it still is considered probably his best.
Not my favorite, but probably the best that he's made. The best
that he's made. Like there's nothing you can really do against Cowboy Bebop. Again, anime kind of it didn't have any source material, which also kind of adds to it as well. But even just the genres, how it changes, the theme song is definitely iconic.
Tanked by, what was it? Something sequels.
Yeah. I don't know, there's lots to love about Cowboy Bebop. The characters, the individual characters. Faye Valentine's very interesting character.
I like Faye Valentine's character because I, once again, detest fan service, but I do like it when it actually fits into the plot.
Especially her
characters that she uses her body and all her resources available to get as a means to an end.
I think
that's why she's dressed the way she is, and that's why I like a character as much as I do.
Yeah,
because it's not
I think
look
one
at these boys.
I really because like a lot of them are adults and they all have kind of a really weird and dark past. I really love the energy that Ed brings into it. Ed and I, because like Ed, I love Ed. She's amazing.
It's a little girl who hacked the ship
Yeah.
and wouldn't let it go until they let her on.
Yeah. A bit like that. There's even episodes where she gets development of like playing chess with an old man who's like this war criminal. I forgot what it was, but yeah. And like they are bounty hunters, and there's just this aesthetic of Cowboy Bebop where it transcends what genres could be, but also creates almost its own genre of like that space cowboy.
Space war.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was about space until I literally turned it on.
Mm.
I watched the opening, which had spaceships in it, and it didn't register in my mind.
Mm.
And the first shot was just the Bebop flying through
Yeah.
space. I'm like, the fuck? It's a space anime?
Yeah. Because
I thought it was just wild.
there's so many different parts and moving parts that happen, and even like moving towards that climax as well.
Because every
happens.
episode is self-contained in a way, but it all
Yeah.
builds up on these characters.
And who the characters are. Like you could have a full focused episode on either Faye or Jet, and it'd still be amazing just to learn more about these characters and what happened to him, like how Jet lost his arm, why he has a robotic arm. What
Why
happened
he
to
won't
Faye?
replace it with
Faye's
a-
past, the
Which one?
gambling Faye. Even just and then slowly moving forward and pushing with Spike's past. Well, Alex, do you want to talk more about this because you recently watched it? As well.
I'm friends with you. I love the relationship they have because so they're just stowaways. The dog that's there just there's nothing else to do with it.
Yeah.
The dog is just there. Ed like bribed them to be there, and Faye kind of just sat in their living room and wouldn't leave. And it's like okay, she's but there's this unspoken bond between them that always leads them to come back together. They don't understand it themselves either, but it's.
And this
a
was
connection
definitely
just somehow formed.
this is definitely one of the
It's
animes
really
that should have
good.
been on your list that I took.
Yeah, I knew on there, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah.
Like, I've already had Space Dandy.
And you know how much I struggled to make this list.
Space Dandy is Cowboy Bebop's like scrapped ideas with,
Mm.
and then you put it into like a bunch of LSD on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it goes over the top of it, but this is a much more dramatic, much more.
The similest thing you've
Dark
watched
War
is definitely
story.
Vash the Stampede. But I would still say Cowboy Bebop is better.
Can't
Well,
comment on that
Bebop-
because
Yeah.
Oh,
Moving
I love
moving on to the next one, my middle one. Monogatari!
Oh my god, rebranding this.
no, no, what?
The Monogatari franchise. So this is based off a light novel. The first anime came out in 2009, which I find very impressive for the animation style it has. Is amazing. Especially if you're just watching the first series of Bakemonogatari, which I know a lot of people do and don't move on from that point. So Monogatari is kind of about this guy who is kind of I guess a semi-vampire-ish person who kind of helps these women who have experienced what is called a phenomenon. And the phenomenon could be very different from... a lot of the women are very different. And I think there's just this weird... There's this build-up between each of the characters. It's much more about the relationships the characters have than the actual environment and the story that's happening. I think it's well made. It's definitely one of my favorite series ever. There's a lot of women in it, which is just amazing. And like you get to see them kind of like grow up a bit and like just how the characters react, and even because like you start off with this series and then you go into more like the prequel stuff, like why is our main character like this? What happened to Shinobu? Why is Shinobu a little 8-year-old girl when she's actually like almost 400 years old? And other characters, and especially Hitagi, becomes a very important character to the main character, and like she's the one who wins. Alex, obviously you didn't appreciate the series as much as I do, but you did watch it. What was your impression of the series?
It's incredibly creative. The director, the way the direction of the series, the artistic style of it, the way the frames were put, the way it didn't even care. It's the series very difficult to dub or even sub. I had to pause so many times because the amount of shit overloaded. The overload
of text.
because of how much the overloaded me with information just on the screen. It was incredibly creative, unlike anything else I've ever seen, because it is in its league.
I can't compare it to anything else, honestly. Especially with the animation style it chooses, which is perfect for the series. Well, even though it doesn't really have a reference material besides just, I guess, the light
Might be the
novels.
strongest sense of atmosphere I've seen in a series because it really hammers it in.
But there definitely is a lot of Monogatari out there. Like, there's, I think like what, 7, 8, 9 seasons, and as well as movies of it.
Movie
kind of
trilogy,
just-
and then there was like an alternate movie trilogy.
Yeah. But there's a lot to.
How do you
there's
make a
lot to
trilogy of
Monogatari.
movies and go like, let's try again?
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man.
Okay, fair enough.
Like I said the other day, there's really only one male character. There's a lot of women, a lot of great characters, females, and that's why that picture is entirely females. I didn't even have the main character on that image. Even because it doesn't need to focus on the main character as well. Like there's some points in the story where you just focus on other characters, their struggles, what they've been through, their relationships. I think it's definitely more about character over anything else. And even
And
adding
so
that little
absolutely highlights that.
yeah, even adding those supernatural moments into it, just I think without it wouldn't be the same. It adds this sort of mystery and wonder to these people who just really care about like more human things. Like the main character is a little bit of a perv. He wants a girlfriend. The struggle to want a girlfriend. Oh, I know that very well. But yeah.
I can imagine.
And although there are a lot of women, it never has that aspect of like, oh, it's a harem, yeah? And it never felt like that to me at all.
Oh.
Just because there are a lot of women and there's literally one male character that we really know besides like the other guy, who's a lot older than all of them. It really didn't feel like a harem type thing. I can't really compare this to anything else. And without spoiling anything, I can't really say anything else about the series. A lot of my stuff, I just realized, has a lot of I have a lot of sub things in mind. I have 3. 3 of mine are subbed only.
What do you mean, like?
3 of mine are subbed only. City Hunter, Monogatari, and Gintama are subbed only.
Gintama has some dubs.
Yeah, I don't count it though. Because it's very little compared to how much there is of Gintama.
Yeah, even Gintama is a series that should be watched in Japanese anyway.
Moving on to my next one, the one that's closest to my head, in the middle row, is one of my all-time favorite series of Monster.
What a fucking spectacular series.
Monster is about a doctor, Dr. Tenma.
Doctor Who?
No, Dr. Tenma. Yeah, it's a psychological thriller about this man who tries to he practices in Germany, and like the events that occur, I think this happens around the time the Berlin Wall fell? Is that around the time?
Sorry? Berlin Wall?
The Berlin Wall wasn't around that time where the Berlin Wall fell. Like
It
it's
is
set in
post-
Germany. It's set in Germany, so the effects of World War II are still being felt, basically.
Post Berlin. Was it post Berlin? Fuck, I don't even remember.
I feel like a wall fell maybe during it, because
When was Monster set?
around that time.
1986.
Yeah, so around that time.
When did, I don't know history. The Berlin Wall come down?
I felt like it was the late 80s.
1989. So the Berlin Wall's still up.
Yeah. And I think it falls like during the series, or does it? I forget. Whatever. Moving on. Monster is about this doctor who saves a child's life. We never know what actually happened to the child until like the very end, when it's actually told to us, and the other twin remembers what actually happened, because we see them more as adults during the thing, because that child that he saved. But like the whole thing was like there was this dichotomy of politics that happened within the German hospital, where this, because he's a brilliant brain surgeon, and he could save the life of this. It was either a political leader or
A child.
yeah. And so
Child came first.
even though the orders were to save the political leader, the child came in first, and the child deserved his thing. There were other surgeons. Of course, the other surgeons were incompetent dumbasses, but because he went against this, he felt the strife and the constrict of the hospital and the politics that occurred, because like this had previously happened, where it's like he saw the effects of just him following the orders, where like a family was struggling, because like that person, their person from that family came in first, but they died because the other doctors are incompetent, and he followed the orders, and it really felt him and put a struggle on himself. And like this is just like the very early beginning, when the child, like he saves the child, and in doing so he kind of unleashes a monster who had, because like the whole accident that happens is like their parents die in a tragic thing, and you don't know really what's happening. The police are all around it, blah blah blah. Even just the police aspect as well into it is impressive. And then like obviously he's a Japanese man in Germany as well, so you really feel like there's this little racism bits that happen across the series. And like that's a very specific thing, especially when you're looking like, because like when all the hospital staff and the leaders kind of like die, because like he was engaged to like the head doctor, the head of the hospital's daughter, even though she's a bitch. And just because he made a different choice, he's seen as less and whatever. And like he's breaking apart, and he's talking
what the hospital's political view is. He decided to save a child, not this political leader, and now they're disowning him because he's not going with the agenda that they want him to.
Yeah.
And a lot of the series is him paying for those choices he makes.
Yeah. And even just because like that monster he unleashes was already a monster even before Tenma got in contact with him, and you learn that throughout the series, like following his past, following the events that occur after Dr. Tenma and all the hospital staff kind of die, and everything kind of goes well for him. So to the police's eye, no one's gonna suspect this young child to have been the killer, who of course over the time skip is like a young man, like a 20-year-old or whatever, and so he's seen as the prime suspect. And as the story goes on, and as other events occur, and when he re-meets that same child and sees what he has made just by making that choice to save him, it kind of puts this struggle on himself to, as a doctor, should he take a life and to save others. It's like it's one of those things that kind of heavily squeezes against Dr. Tenma, and as the story progresses, you're no longer following this man anymore. You're following like other characters and the perspective, and seeing how like Dr. Tenma, who is a genuine good person, even though he's still thinking about like killing them. Like one of the first things is like these little stories of different characters, and seeing like the abuse of other characters, and there's like a full episode just on like his ex-fiance and the struggle that she's gone through in her life, which is just, I don't know, it's very great. And even just pushing forward until you get to that end goal, the police are chasing him, seeing all the people like he comes into contact with, like former professors from like the school he went to, other students kind of trust Tenma and believe him even though they didn't want to. and like you just learn, and it's just so good, and it's something that I truly love. It's like 70 episodes long, but like fuck man, it is an amazing series, and it really makes you think about things, especially when it is set in Germany. And that author who did write Monster is one of my favorite authors, because he's done other things and each of them are almost equally as great. But Monster, for me, even just the soundtrack that plays while everything occurs, like even when you think you're leading up to a climax, and then in your brain you're thinking, oh shit, you have 20 episodes left, you're like, oh fuck, what the hell.
The climax, it does occur.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that it's a series where he makes a choice to save a child's life, and that's the consequence he has to pay for. Yeah, and that's the choice he has to live with now, because he's now unleashed this monster.
Yeah.
So, and he's back then when he saved the child's life, and now when he's on the mission to end the suffering that he's caused, he still throughout the entire series believes that every life deserves to be saved. Meanwhile, this villain, this monster he's created, believes that life doesn't have any meaning, and death should be for I don't actually remember Johann's entire motivation, but it was he didn't want to live.
I don't want to say his motivation, because that's more of a spoiler, kind of.
And I know there was that. I don't remember completely. So I loved seeing like you said, the dichotomy between Dr. Tenma and Johann, their ideals, and how what their actions do affect other characters in the series. So we meet for only an episode or two.
Well, one of my favorite bits is when Alex was watching it, and like there was a child who was abused, and it's like, I don't trust that this child is just journeying along. He's just coming along with Tenma. This little kid, he's like 8 years old. What the hell?
Right, he shows up one episode, and I'm like, okay, this is not looking good. This father is a bit of an abusive person, and now he's going along with Dr. Tenma. Now we've got a child going along with someone's murder mission, and he believes the lives that need to be saved. And we've got a child, an 8-year-old, coming along with this, going to fight the biggest killer that Germany has ever known. And I'm just waiting for this child to just die somehow.
Whilst you're also like the police, not, I wouldn't say they're the exact police. They're more like the FBI of Germany. Like there's this one detective guy from like the FBI of Germany, kind of.
Lunge.
Yeah, Lunge, who is just constantly chasing Tenma. Even just like one of my favorite episodes is just the English couple. The English couple, like there was an ex-cop who just picked up Tenma and the kid as just like this thing. And like that episode was great, and there's so many else like that, like him learning how to use a gun as well. Like that was one of the first instances where it's like, because the way the episode starts is in a police interview with Lunge, their experiences with Tenma, and we're seeing this story, and I think Monster is amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough. It's one of my absolute favorite series.
How long have we talked about Monster?
I don't know. I could talk about Monster for so long. Even though 70 episodes, keep that in mind. I can talk about Monster for the same length of time I could talk about Naruto.
What a fucking masterpiece.
It really is a masterpiece.
Except for there are a lot of there was like 20 episode run where almost nothing happened. It was just more a lot of side stories, which dragged on at times. It doesn't mean they weren't great episodes. It just meant that the plot didn't actually progress very much in that time.
True. But then again, you also added into like other characters and their developments throughout the world.
What's his name?
Like the big assassin dude, as well.
What's his name?
I forgot.
The best character in that fucking series. Doesn't even have a name.
There's a lot to love about Monster.
I can find his name.
But we should really. I placed Monster. Monster should have been in the top 3.
Wolfgang Grimmer.
Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move up to Black Lagoon, the one next to the Kiln logo. So, I would like to tell a story about a boy who asked help for his Viscom exam. So he came over to my house to study, and like we finished studying, so I showed him the first episode of Black Lagoon, and then the effect that had on him was that all his friends love Black Lagoon now.
Every one of my friends watched it after I told them to get their ass on it.
I was the cause.
I haven't watched it.
Because Ethan needs to tell you to watch it.
Black Lagoon is about pirates, but not pirates as what you would think. It's more modern day pirates. Well, modern day in terms of like 90s.
What
80s.
Caleb wants from One Piece?
Hang on.
What you want from
Are
One
you
Piece?
talking about hacker pirates?
No.
Or pirates like Somali pirates?
More like Somali pirates.
More like
Okay.
Somali. There is a little bit of hacker thing with one of the characters in the back, but that's because he's just smart. Ben. But still, like these are like more Somali pirates, Monday pirates. Like there's a lot of arcs to it, and Caleb would love Revy. Let's be honest.
Of course he would.
Revy comes in immediately. She's half naked and she just starts swearing the shit.
Badass female characters. Isn't there an entire fucking episode where they're just the three most dangerous women on the island staring at each other?
Yeah.
And then someone's like, we should stop them. And it's like, go and fucking try. Do it. I dare you.
So the main character is Rock, and that's his nickname throughout the series. And I can't be bothered remembering his real name because it's Japanese.
Kajima.
Yeah. So Rock kind of was a part of this shady business deal that happened with like a Japanese businessman, and he gets kind of after the first episode kind of like chooses to kind of stay there, and like he's considered dead in Japan, like so he kind of lives now and joins the pirate gang. Although I'm saying pirates, like there's so much more to it than just pirates. There's mafia aspects to it. The person that they kind of call like their boss is named Balalaika, who was a Russian Soviet captain. Ex-vet, yeah, a Soviet ex-vet.
That's what that means. That's what that is.
And there is a lot that happens, and each of the characters you get a lot more of them. There's some episodes where you might just follow Revy, and like they're on this island, which is completely made up, but I'm perfectly fine with that because even like when they do go back to Japan, I feel that stressful moments for like Rock, and even
Caleb, you remember Raphael Winter Soldier, the Madripoor, where they went to go? Yeah, that's the location where Black Lagoon's set, pretty much.
Yeah.
But a lot more backwater. Anyway, as we were.
Yeah. Even learning more about each of the characters and how, like, their situation, how they came to be there. The other girls who show up, like Edda, and all the missions that they kind of just go on in this illegal organization. And, like, the police are just fully corrupt on this island as well. There's a lot of greatness to love about Black Lagoon. Like, Alex, why do you love Black Lagoon? I haven't talked for a while.
It's fun. No, it's the darker themes that it eventually leads itself into. We start off with the character Rokuro Kajima, now Rock, who is just a Japanese businessman who decides to just join a pirate gang for some fucking reason, but he's still just a fucking gangster. So we follow he's the protagonist in the way that we see the story through his eyes. We are normal people like him, and we get to see everything about this world, all the different political conflicts inside this fucking Madripoor place. Of death, destruction, piracy, nuns that sell guns. She's great.
Mm.
And we get to learn more about this world, and he gets invested. What's the word? He starts, let's go invested in this world and starts to become just like them. And by the end of the third season, he's just as much of a monster as the rest of his crew, even more so.
Mm.
And the series is a phenomenal dub because just something will happen. And
Oh yeah.
Go like,
Also,
shit, I love this thing.
the opening as well to Black Lagoon is my second favorite opening of all time.
What's it, Red Fraction?
Yeah, Red Fraction.
No. Yeah. I love the dub more than the sub of Black Lagoon. If you watch it on Netflix, at least they'll censor a lot of the things in subtitles. But Revy's vocabulary is that of an Australian.
Oh, fantastic! I like her already.
She swears the ever-loving shit at, like, literally immediately in her first fight.
It's one of the things that's
Her first fight is fuck.
Japanese anime, and every other word is fuck, and sometimes she says shit, cunt, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why are we in the middle of a fucking gunfight, and then she shoots some cunts in the head.
Put this on the list.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. You would love Black Lagoon. That's what I'm saying.
But
It's
it-
so
it-
good.
How many episodes?
29.
That's not.
That's not as bad, yeah.
Netflix dubbed.
Mm.
Dubbed. The sub is good too, but you know the dub.
Yeah.
The sub doesn't go fuck shit cunt.
That's why you gotta watch the dubbed.
It's
Alright.
what sold me.
I
It's
sh-
Japanese anime.
I should move on to another anime I really love.
It does genuinely get interesting. Like with actual story, it's not just a gimmick that
Yeah.
nobody sweats for.
Alright, so moving on to my top middle. Steins Gate. One of the only anime I actually own, thanks Alex. Steins Gate, for me, had the same effect as Dragon Ball and One Piece, where I watched a lot of it in the late hour of the night. Except something very different happened, because I watched Steins Gate very late, like it was probably like 9 or something, like 9:30 when I started watching, and I watched like the 25 episodes it had all in that night.
Yep.
Because I truly saw this story as a masterpiece. It's about this guy, Rintaro Okabe, who kind of he sends texts through time, and it alters his time, and he goes through what's called the Steins Gate, and he's the only one who can realize the differences and changes that he's made through like sending texts back in time.
Right.
There's this character like who doesn't have like a dad or something, and like by sending a text to his father, it just changes the thing and changes who the person becomes, and it even impacts the world just through this one character, and that choice that changed the world, and it ultimately comes into this hell loop of him losing his best friend over what had been his entire life, to something he cannot change. It will always happen, and the only way to save her is to go back to the original timeline. But if he does so, he loses the one thing he's actually gained in the Steins Gate, and that would be love. And I think there's just so much greatness to Steins Gate. Like at the beginning, it's just seen as like this fun little thing. There's not this fun little thing that they can do. They can alter time. That's cool until the shit really starts happening, and then you're like, fuck, and then you go to Steins.
Severe.
And then you go to Steins Gate 0, which is the next season, which hadn't come out when I had watched Steins Gate.
2018 anime, I think.
Yeah. So like when I was watching that, like weekly, it was so Steins Gate 0 follows that timeline of like going back to the first beginning, and Okabe had lived through everything that had occurred because he's the only one who remembers, and it's like you just see him at the beginning, he's just depressed as shit. He's not going to get it back, and like he knows things that he shouldn't know about a person who he's theoretically never met, even though he has met her, and they do have a relationship. And I just Steins Gate 0, not as good, but still it's also very good as well.
Because Steins Gate 0 took a aspect of the series that didn't need developing and then developed it. Steins Gate is that time travel anime that closes every fucking it wraps everything up, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect time travel anime. It doesn't have those same plot hole consistencies, and manages to do a complete perfect narrative. I call it a masterpiece. But Steins Gate 0, it took that one aspect, that one time where it didn't work out, and then it just developed its characters, and it shows consequences of what happened when things weren't fixed.
Yeah.
And the character story from Steins Gate 0 made that my preferred medium of Steins Gate. Not Steins Gate, the perfect narrative, but the story, not the story, the characters and everything they went through after all this had happened to them.
Yeah.
I love Steins Gate 0 so much. Even though I finished Steins Gate, I didn't watch 0 because it was already a perfect story. It didn't need a sequel.
Yeah.
I still believe that, and it's still true. But this Steins Gate 0 is still an amazing character story in and of itself, but absolutely deserves all the praise it gets.
And that's why it's never gonna leave my top 10.
Spectacular.
Also, I do want to keep in mind there is a character who I choose to, like, I know his name, but I choose to call Caleb because he is Caleb. Like,
That man with waifus.
no, it even looks like Caleb. He looks like Caleb.
Just put a beard on him.
Yeah, he looks like Caleb.
Imagine not having a beard, like.
He's Japanese. Don't.
Oh, that's not excuse.
What? Oh well. So that would be Steins Gate. Now.
Gaitama.
Gintama.
I haven't finished this. I'm 260 episodes in and it's halfway.
Gintama is a parody on everything. It is self-aware, and that's why it is amazing. Okay, Gintama follows a few characters. It doesn't always have to follow them. There's some episodes where it just follows fully other characters, but it follows I don't know, like it's Edo. It's set in like Edo period Japan, but then imagine what happened is aliens came down to Earth and kind of infested everything.
They migrated to the Edo period Japan. Guns and spaceships.
So the aliens.
No.
No, that's
No. There's hundreds and hundreds of different aliens. Yeah. It's not one type of alien. Yeah.
All of the intergalactic empire was like, yeah. During now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different. This isn't one of them. This is a guy in a duck suit.
Yeah.
But I would think actually. But you can chop his hat in the background.
Yeah, there's a lot to parody. Like, although like Alex hasn't seen the episode, I will talk about it. Like, there's just because he hasn't seen what the initial thing is. Like, what the episode's meant to reference.
He's not finished it.
Alex has not, no.
It's a comedy, and I don't do well.
It's like 300 episodes. Yeah, it is a comedy. Yeah, it's like it's about a group of people. They do odd jobs, so it lets them be free. But like Gintoki has this past. He was like a samurai who fought in this war, and there's other people like that. Which one of them is like Alex's favorite characters?
Big man.
Gintoki, the man who's literally the statue of him, sits on my desk because he's my favorite anime character. Is just perfect. Like, there is a monologue of him talking about the release of pee and why peeing is good. There is an entire monologue.
I would disagree. I'd say taking a shit is superior.
Oh, he does the same thing with shit as well. But like, it's just it's just this random monologue. Even just when it parodies stuff, like there's parts of it where it's like, oh, we had a time skip. And it's just going through Dragon Ball's moments. It has like a Yamcha moment as well.
Caleb, there's like the first season of Gintama is 201 episodes, and then it got renewed for a second season, another 50 episodes a year later. So there was that 1 year time, and they decided we're not going to just adapt more of the manga. No, we're gonna parody Dragon Ball Z. So now the straight man of the cast is like, okay, we know it's been a year. But in continuity, it's only been a couple days because it's a fourth wall breaking series. So it goes back to work, and then there's
not as much as it does. It's more self-aware than fourth wall breaking.
Well, it does break fourth wall
sometimes.
Very aware of its own standing as an anime. So he walks into into his place of work after a couple of days, like, all right, Gintama Season 2 is here, and then Gintoki dressed as Yamcha is like, it's been 2 years. Where have you been? We've all been training to get stronger.
There's I don't think Alec. One of the best things is like all the men. There's an arc where all the men become women and all the women become men.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, but it's a good arc, which means every character is technically can be a waifu. Because all of them do become waifu.
For my Shippuden.
Yeah, it does that. Of course it does. No, there's a lot of great characters. There's so much love for the series. It's so hard to explain though. It's so hard to. Alright, so there was this meeting. Alex hasn't seen the episode, but there's this meeting of like the group of people that I said before, like that Gintama fought in the war with. And so they all come together and they're all talking about like who gathered us here. And then like the second part of the episode, it's like they realize it is the Phantom member of the Four, and which is actually a reference to Croak in a Basket. They made an entire character just to be a part of their group who we never see, and it somehow becomes also an ad for water or whatever it was, soda or water. But it's so stupid and amazing at the same time.
Gintama is a series which knows what it is. It knows that it's the parody of other shonen anime, and it does that.
But it also handles its serious moments incredibly well.
Gintoki had goggles, and then they took it off because it was too hard to draw. Because was it because of Naruto, or was it just because he had the goggles?
I think it was meant to be a reference to Naruto.
So with the goggles on for the first few chapters, and then they took it off. It's too hard to draw. And they would literally reference that back 200 chapters later. There's an entire arc based around the character popularity poll.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, there is, and like every character
everyone has a number on top of their head,
and they're all trying to beat each other until
like,
as the character numbers go up.
More popular. And they lower in popularity if they do something like really shit. So they strip some of the characters and they get ranked down by 40. And then my favorite character, he got stripped down to his ass, and he ranks down nothing because he made it to rank 14, already butt naked in the show.
There's also this, I don't think Alex has seen it, but there's also this part where it's like, Alex, where Gintoki, it said that he's had slept with literally like all these women and one man. And like he has no memory of it because he was drunk as shit. And then to add on to that, it's like it was just this small like 3-part episode I think it was. It was just hilarious to watch him like, oh shit, and he's just trying to figure out if he actually did sleep with these women who all want him, and like they were like, oh, you had sex with me, so you have to move into a house with me, and they're all next to each other, which just leads to more conflict as one of them punches him through a wall into one of the other girls' house. And it goes on more like that, and it's like, and then it turns out like he actually didn't sleep with like any of them except the one, and I don't want to reveal who that one is because it's just hilarious. There's so much comedy. It's one of the series I don't think Caleb would ever pick up anytime soon, but
it is a comedy, but it also does have a lot of actual serious arcs. And that's what actually is missing. The comedy episodes are for character building, really. Yeah. So we learn what these characters are with them, what they fight for, how much they like strawberry fucking parfaits.
Yes, that's right.
And then we have actual like multi-episode arcs with actual stakes involved, and some of the most emotionally compelling stories I've seen, because they take 50 episodes of comedy to go like, you love these characters, and then they kill them off.
Yeah.
Fuckers. And then the episode after is like, wow, that was a pretty serious arc. It's pretty damn shame they died. Let's have a fucking crab for dinner. Yeah. That's a phone call. Is this from Amazon? One moment.
Well, I think my list took a bit quicker than your list, Caleb. Although
they hung up on me. I answered the call and then it just immediately hung up. There was no sound. I didn't say a single word. No other day. It's gone. Spam calls.
I think we're kind of done with the analyst. We've been here for almost 3 hours and a half.
3.5 hour stream.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Caleb.
No.
Okay. You said you were interested in some of mine. I'll give you the names of them if you're ever.
I already typed them down.
You typed them all down?
The Tatami Galaxy.
I typed them down
Black
in
Lagoon.
the OneNote. So I'll do it for the
I'm
other
not going to
one.
make you do anything, but like, if you wanted to make sure that your interest you had.
They're down somewhere.
Things I want to watch. Violet Evergarden, I'll finish that one. Man. Time Galaxy Black Lagoon, Gintama at some point. Epic!
Mira down Gintama. But as far as my list goes, yeah, I think Caleb will enjoy a majority of my list.
I'm dismembering a raccoon.
That's a good point to leave off the first episode of The Kiln.
I really am.
I love Caleb's image of himself
Yeah.
that you drew. That's great.
It's a dwarf, but
He's a head shorter than us, but he's just gonna
Maru's magic cloak.
He's meant to be head shorter than us. What?
That's like a third of a head. What's he standing on? Dean?
Yep.
Yeah. Standing on top of the goblin. I mean, I am a dwarf.
That was a successful stream, 3.5 hours.
I need to stop the stream. I'll be back next week. I'm sure of it. I will probably be streaming a lot next week.